Alrighty, there we go. We are now live. Hello, everyone. I'm Voxy.
And I am the Niku.
And this is the most delayed live intro that we've had to date. Thumbs up.
Thumbs up. And make sure you like and subscribe on this stream, because YouTube has a funny way of forgetting that you're subscribed. So make sure that you do not forget that you are subscribed by going down and making sure that red button has turned grey, and we will all have a very good time.
You're meant to say, and we'll all have a very good day, because that rhymes with grey day. Yeah.
Yeah, nah. I'm not Dr. Seuss level yet. Yeah, let me just turn you up on my mixer.
I like that. And I'm TCJ. It's good.
TCJ.
There's more rhyming as well. It's quite pleasant.
Oh, I can't see the live video yet.
What do you mean? No, it's because it's got that 30-second delay. It's very delayed. Oh, we needed to fix that. Anyway.
Yeah, it's something like progress, man. Slow progress. It will be made. We are going to talk about some very, very interesting things today.
Yes.
Michael, Mr. Voxy, sorry, asked me to do something recently that gave me a little bit of a trouble. And that trouble was, what do you want? Do you want me to actually film you while you were going through a terrible experience?
And the answer was yes.
No, I don't want to do that.
Oh, you don't, but I do. Yeah.
Okay. So you want me to do something that's going to be terrible, do you?
It's going to be a terrible time for... turn your microphone up a little bit, by the way.
Up a little bit?
Tiny little bit. Just because mine's in a good limit. I'd like yours to be at the same limit as well.
I have turned my microphone up all the way. Yamaha is peaking out of this world.
I hope it's not actually peaking. Okay, we're going to have a bit of a musical interlude in the stream while I quickly press one button. I'm going to mute my microphone here so that it doesn't echo, but can I get you to count to 10 for me, please, in a second in now?
So in Australia, we count to 10 by saying 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8.
Sounds good, man. You're all
9,
good.
10.
Okay. All right.
Very good.
We don't do any pre-broadcast, pre-flight checklists because life is very unpredictable. You never know what's going to happen. And I schedule a stream and all of a sudden everything is happening in the wrong order. And because we are real troopers, we just go for it. But anyway, I wish I had what he's drinking because I would love a glass of wine. Anyway, so what we were just discussing is I had put forward a request, and that request was, while I am doing my EMDR therapy for my post-traumatic stress disorder, there is going to be a change, hopefully, a change in my physiological response with my triggers. And my triggers, for those that don't know and have not seen my first video on my channel about PTSD, my triggers are regarding the furry community, which sounds absolutely bonkers because at the moment you're looking at someone who is wearing a giant talking fox costume, and so
Therefore, it is bonkers.
you'd be correct in having some doubt. However, this is genuine, this is real, this is something that I live with, and I explain it very well in those videos as to how that actually works. But anyway, that's already explained, so I'm not going to re-explain it. But concluding this next set of EMDR therapy, we are hoping to bring that physiological response down to something that is either lessened or is non-existent. And basically, I will go from experiencing a psychogenic non-epileptic seizure to hopefully not even feeling any form of anxiety at all. At most, perhaps social anxiety, and that's it. But there is also the chance that post EMDR therapy version 2, because this will be the second round of EMDR therapy, that I won't have those positive changes in my physiological response, and as a result, I may experience a psychogenic seizure or a panic attack, and then everything else that sort of ensues from that following that episode. And so what the request was to my very close and wonderful friend of mine, Mr. Daniel, is the fact that I wanted to test this. And I want to test this post EMDR therapy. So once I'm at the end of this second round of EMDR therapy, once I'm at the end of that journey, is to go to a meet that obviously has a bunch of people there, which are all from the furry community, which have all the things, all the visual cues that would normally cause my brain to enter a psychogenic seizure, and to then see, does that actually happen, and to film it and make a video about it and document it, because I've been documenting everything. I've been documenting as much of my journey, as much of what it is that I've experienced, as much as what it is that I am experiencing at this present moment in time. For example, I've done videos on the fact that I have noticed a positive impact on my physiological response with certain triggers that used to be very triggering that are now not as triggering or triggering at all at times, which in one example is Twitter. Twitter used to give me major panic attacks, major anxiety. I would just feel sick thinking about being on there. And so I had made attempts in the past, and my exposure to Twitter at that time was very bad, which is a bit of a strange thing, but
I will say
things have changed. So
I will say
yes,
thank you, Matt, very much. Train, Chaser, Jesse,
oh,
for listening to as much as you could.
to live 9 p.m. is going. Ah, very well.
I'll also say, that's much more tolerable than the way you first put it to me.
Oh yeah, the way I put it to you was like clickbait.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The way you first put it to me was, hey, wanna film me having a seizure.
Yeah.
Something along those lines.
Because
And
hey,
it's
worst
like,
case
hey,
scenario.
How
That's what it's
about
gonna
no?
be. Yeah.
Because I'm not up for watching a friend going through something so painful.
Yeah.
especially with the voluntary aspect of it.
Yes, the
Yeah.
voluntary aspect of it is pretty messed up because you normally don't go out of your way
Mm,
to embrace that. And that's something as well that seems quite silly, I will admit.
mm,
When you look at it from an outsider looking in, you go, because I've had people mention that about, oh, hey, if Twitter gives you panic attacks, why are you on it? Well, the thing is, Twitter is part of the internet. Twitter exists and it's much broader than the furry community, right? Because heaps of people use it. It is a news source for people, right? It's an actual news source for people. So as a result, blocking that out as not existing would be denying part of the internet as existing. And so it's a greater problem than just my PTSD triggers because it comes with the element of facilitating further generalization. Because what you've said is, well, I'm acknowledging that Twitter is a threat, but Twitter is not a threat, right? It is a social media platform, but it is one that has a heavy dominance by the furry community. And as far as my post traumatic stress disorder goes and the triggers associated with that, can be highly triggering for me.
well,
Pardon
I
me.
mean, it's
So
not
yeah.
like furries dominate Twitter in general.
Oh, but like of all the social media platforms, that is the one of choice.
For some things, yes,
Yes.
absolutely. Absolutely,
Yeah.
they will just go on there and let their freak flag fly.
Yes. But even from a
Uh,
general communication standpoint, that is the app of choice besides Telegram, which is a personal messaging thing. They've got the over broadcasting side of Twitter, which is people will be suggested your content, and so people take to Twitter as a speak to the masses platform. You don't
yeah,
have
but
that
it
to the
really
level
does
with
have,
Instagram.
but it really does have that algorithm aspect. So, like, if you're not going on Twitter and searching up, let's say, fursuits or anything like that, you're never
Oh
gonna
yeah, and if you
see
don't
that.
like any
It's never gonna
content, then
happen.
it's never going to recommend content that
Mm,
is part of the algorithm's way of going, well, hey, you liked that content. That content is liked significantly by people who are producing this content, and each of those bits of content that they produce, which garners
just move things
likes and
around.
retweets, only naturally we're going to suggest that to you. We'll suggest similar accounts to you and this, that, the other. But
Yeah.
regardless of that, right? Regardless of that, because that's just, we're discussing just the way that Twitter works. What I'm discussing is the fact that for my post traumatic stress disorder, for some reason,
Mm.
in the overgeneralization that occurred with that, it had included places where people hang out as a as a place of danger because it goes, well, hey, if your brain has decided that it's going to have a panic attack or an anxiety attack or a seizure when you see anyone or anything related to the furry community, well, then it's only natural that your brain will then say, well, Twitter's now banned because if they give you panic attacks, well, then why would you want to go anywhere near the place where they hang out that you do not feel safe? Interestingly, there were some places where I did feel safe, which is sort of in line with the way that agoraphobia works. Except this is like online agoraphobia. I don't know how that works. There's probably a term for that. Whether it's just severe anxiety
Well,
and
I mean,
association.
it's a sort of a problem with the terminology, right?
Yeah,
Because, yeah, like it's sort of very similar, I think, to um when they were first trying to transition the laws in Australia to more of an online sort of thing, and they had
yeah,
to work very hard in order to do that. And even now that they have worked very difficultly
yeah,
to figure out what it is that's happening with Australian media,
yeah,
um, comparing. newspapers or TV stations to online, um, it's all very much a big struggle, and I think that carries over to psychological terms as well. I think it's a bit of a transition, and I think it's going to take time for it all to happen. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Because it is a place just like anywhere else where you would go to the park and you would see people playing basketball.
Yes.
You go to Twitter and you see porn.
Yes. This is absolutely true. This is absolutely true. For those who are not 18 yet, good luck when you hit the age where your Twitter begins showing you accounts that you
Good luck.
will then go, wow, that's unfortunate.
Ooh, my headphones are telling me that they're about to disappear.
Oh, that's great.
Let me just
You didn't charge them, did you?
one. Well, I alternate. Give me a moment.
That's great. Yeah, all good. All right. Just wait while he does that.
There we go.
Okay, there we go. You good?
Oh, yeah. Can you still hear me?
Good. I can still hear you.
That's
Yeah.
great.
We will fix this eventually. This is a whole thing of trial and error. But yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So this question of do you want this? You know, is this what you want? And so for me, what it is that I want is to be able to go into Melbourne, and if I do happen to see anyone who would trigger me, regardless of why I am being triggered, right? Because that's irrelevant. We're just going to focus on the fact that there are triggers. The triggers are real, and the triggers are very, they are impossible to manage because
They
they're
are
just
in
part.
fact there.
Yeah, they are just there, and they exist, and there is no denying the fact that they exist because.
And we assume that they would be there anyway.
And we assume that they would be there anyway, and so. So the reason, the question of do I want this? Is this what I want? The answer is I want to be able to go into Melbourne without having a panic attack, without having anxiety, without having a psychogenic seizure. If I see my ex-partner who betrayed me, if I see my sister who betrayed me, if I see an ex-friend who betrayed me, deceived me, gaslit me, whatever it may be that was part of my PTSD journey from then till now, I need to be able to witness that without having a physiological response. And the only physiological response that I should have is to identify that the person I am looking at is a person that I want nothing to do with, and to be calm, to be in control, and to turn around 180 degrees and proceed walking in the opposite direction in calmness.
That is the healthiest response.
And that is the
If
response.
you can manage it.
And that is the response that we install in EMDR therapy. So in EMDR therapy, you have the exposure element of it, where you allow the brain the opportunity to process it. When it came to processing what my recent ex-partner did with his deception and his betrayal, when it came to processing what my sister had done with her betrayal towards me, I experienced a seizure during that therapy session, which is not allowed. If you have a seizure during EMDR, that is very bad, and you're not meant to exceed the tolerance in EMDR therapy. It is all designed to be keeping within a certain level of tolerance. And I'm going to do a video about EMDR therapy and my experiences with it.
It's the same. It's very much the same with exposure therapy.
Oh, with any form of exposure therapy, absolutely. EMDR is exposure therapy on a whole new level, and it can be incredibly beneficial.
Yeah. It's
But
it's very much the same thing, but done in a different way.
yeah, yeah, done in a
It's
very different way.
very different way. It's a
Yeah,
different, it's a similar sort of perspective of
yeah,
how to treat. However, the method
yeah,
is completely different. And I just want to say, um, Mr. Train Chaser Jesse, um, Twitter is a cesspool of horribleness.
yes,
I would be very concerned if you were getting too many likes on Twitter.
yes.
Um,
And to never chase the likes, right? Because the moment that
Never
this
chase it.
becomes, yeah, the moment
Mm,
that this becomes a thing of chasing likes, you have to sit there and go, what the hell are you actually trying to do, right?
mm,
Are you trying to give yourself a false sense of being accepted, right? Are you trying to give yourself a false sense of popularity, a false sense of celebrity hierarchy? Because it's like, it's not about that. And I've experimented with that too personally, and I've had a look at what it is that you can do on Twitter that will garner more of a reaction, more likes, more retweets versus what will not. And it fascinates me. I love that word describing it as a cesspool. It really is. You look
it
at the
is.
way that people interact with posts on there, it very much is an attention grabbing, a call to action sort of thing where people's attitude to the content is dictated by a whole different ball game than what it would be if you posted something on Facebook. So if you post something on Facebook, like I do about my journey, I'll receive 120 likes from everyone that is on my Facebook because these are family, this is friends, this is people who understand me as being a human being. They know that I am a person, they know that I am real, they have seen my face before, they understand that I exist. You go on Twitter, and on Twitter, if you're chasing followers, you're chasing likes, you're chasing whatever, you're chasing that blindly to people who are blind to you because they don't understand who you are. They don't really care who you are. They care for the content that you're producing. And all of a
Yes.
sudden, you sit there and go, hey, wait a second here, wait a second here. Are we saying that my existence, as far as Twitter is concerned, that my existence is based solely on my content creation as if I'm some sort of content creating machine,
Yes.
a media, a social media marketer that is producing little bits of candy for you all to enjoy. It's like that actually seems quite shallow. Don't get me wrong, we
And
all like a
do
little
you
bit of
want that?
candy. And then it's a question of exactly what you just asked. Do you want that? Which goes back exactly to the title of this video. Is that what you want? And if the answer is yes, I cannot change
Absolutely
that and
fine.
I have no interest in changing that.
Mm.
Niku cannot change that. He has no interest in changing that.
Oh no.
We are we, right? I am he, as you are
You are
he, and
you.
you are me, and we are all together with elementary penguins singing Hare Krishna, to quote the Beatles, right? You know,
Mm.
all this shit that happens on this planet happens. We all think what we think. We all feel what we feel. It may be right, it may be wrong, it may be just, it may be unjust. Is
Mm.
it helpful? Yes or no? Is it what you actually want? Yes or no? Is what you actually want
Mm.
helpful? Yes or no? And eventually you'll make up your mind and it will just be how it is. Or you won't make up your mind. You'll chase something thinking that it is one thing and then finding out that it is not. If you have
Yeah,
expectation for something, yeah,
it's very often that we think that something that we're doing is helpful to us. I know from personal experience, and I do. Oh, hold on.
what?
Y- Voxy, do you realize that you're nearly at 100 subscribers?
Am I?
Oh, yes.
Oh, good.
Oh,
Well, if
good.
anyone is watching at the moment who is not a subscriber, please do hit the button. That would be greatly appreciated. Um, and again, and this goes back to what we were sort of talking about, right? Is you sit there and go, well, is this what you want? Well,
Oh, yeah.
I tell you what, I find it fascinating that my objective with my first video, not the very first one, you'll all see that as from years ago of me playing cello with an old work colleague of mine. But after that video, my return to YouTube was this video about my battle, my story with post-traumatic stress disorder. The sole intention of me moving forward, me stepping forward and sharing my story. The initial intention, I had an event that had happened where I had a seizure, and that was seizure number 7 or 8, right? Within 2 years, or within a year. Sorry, it's possibly within a year. I lose track of time, but so I have that happen, and it's like, okay, well, I need to document this because the Niku had discussed to me many times, you're either writing a book or you're recording videos about this. And well, we went with the video route because I was really depressed, and I thought, stuff it, I'm putting my story out there into the world, we're going for it, we'll see what happens. First take, and it went for 50 minutes, and it detailed everything. Now, that video was put up for the purpose of putting my story out into the world. But then it came a thing where I have the ability to continue updating on my progress, which not only helps get my story out there, which I need support from the furry community to help fix the generalization, which has been working. So I thought, well, if it's working, I'm going to continue pursuing it. And I'll continue hoping that as I continue to pursue it, that people step forward and offer help, as they have done, as I am so grateful for. So thank you all who have.
And they have been very awesome.
Very, very
As
helpful.
as
But
very helpful and awesome in general. Like,
oh yeah,
you've
oh
had
yeah,
so much great feedback.
yeah, yeah. The
Both
messages
through
that I've
just the
received,
views and the
yeah,
comments.
yeah,
You haven't
messages that I've
received
received
many.
personally has been absolutely unbelievable. The amount of support that I've received out of the comments, and I've, both that and the comments combined is the reason why I'm able to be on Twitter without having a physiological response, which is unbelievably good. Very grateful for that. But as I was saying, it moved on from this purpose of explaining my story to then I have the ability to also potentially help people who are going through a similar thing, who are going through perhaps other things that I've experienced, whether it be anxiety, whether it be unwanted thoughts and feelings, which is a really good video on that, if you struggle with that, I'd absolutely recommend watching that. All these different things that I've experienced in life that I've been very lucky to have learned from an amazing psychologist and philosopher how to deal with those things. I'm able to then make a bigger impact on the planet through what I've experienced. And so no matter what happens in my world, no matter how bad things may be, and if I don't make it through my journey, I've left a positive imprint, hopefully, that has a positive effect on other people. And so that's now the goal. And so it comes this question of, is that what you want? And so what I wanted actually changed and developed with time. And so what I want in being able to go to this furry meet without having a panic attack, without having a psychogenic seizure, what I want is for me to get my life back, and then for me to be able to explain at the end of my PTSD journey, if I can make it to that point, which I'm so hopeful that I can if I can, that will be very positive news and very helpful news for anyone who's going through PTSD about any topic. Because what it means is I am now a success story of eye movement desensitization and reprocessing therapy mixed with exposure therapy, mixed with a little bit of experimentation, a little bit of introspection, and whatever it may be. So, you know, that's that. That's that.
Not by me. Absolutely.
Yes.
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 Yes. Don't mind me. Train Joseph Jesse.
Yes.
I will get posting on Twitter as soon as I have time.
You young whippersnapper.
My young whippersnapper.
You young whippersnapper.
You young whippersnapper. No,
Yeah.
I will definitely get posting on that
Yes.
as soon as I do have time.
Yes.
I'm still trying to figure out what I want to be posting, actually. If you do have any...
I have. I have. Yeah, pictures of your toes.
No.
Yes, and then you'll just get
No!
like 1,000 followers of people who like toe pictures.
Like, literally that much no. I can't put out that much no without more no. I refuse. I'm all for exploiting others, but like not to that extent. I have no interest in toe memes.
It's
Hold
not a
on.
meme. It's not a meme. It's genuine, wholesome content, depending on who the person is. That's the eyes. Your eyes doing that thing where they look in two different directions.
Are they? Well,
They were.
you made this happen, didn't you?
you?
Didn't you?
Yes.
You knew that it would happen, and you did it anyway. So I blame you for that one.
I'm so proud.
Yeah.
Yes.
So, you young whippersnapper, yes. I will be posting there at some point. I actually made it. I have been using the Niku for many years now as my gaming profile. And as my online profile. Coming out of a very, let's just say, destructive relationship that I
Yes.
used to be in. Coming out of that, I created a thing, and that was the Niku. And that is what you see now. I am the Niku. Hello. And so, yeah, I have been gently nurturing this this online character, and I've been doing it slowly. I haven't been in a rush or anything like that, and so building the Niku at the Niku _ was a bit of a quick thing for me, where I just say, okay, well, I need a Twitter.
Yes.
And so
It made sense when it came to us doing these streams, because then it's like, if we can develop this thing into something, something that is much bigger than what it is now, where we can actually have, you know, full-on conversations where people actually are pitching very good, valid questions or points or concerns or topics that we can then, you know, pick out all the little nuggets of wisdom that we know or that we can find, and then pull everything apart,
or even
build
if
it
we
back
can't
together.
find it, yeah,
it's good.
Yeah.
And so that was the goal.
I love it.
And then, you know, we could have it that, you know, if anyone posts something, we can say, oh, well, you know, if you're trying to post that to show us, well, then you can post it to that Twitter handle there. I'm just pointing on the screen where it is, because you all know where it is, obviously, because, you know, Daniel's one. You send it to there, and then we can then pick it apart and then talk about it, and that's kind of cool. So we like that sort of thing. We think it's rad. Yes. When I look at you, Voxy, you look like you work as a locomotive fireman. All we need now is some overalls and an engineer driver's hat. I am not against putting Fox in some Victorian railroad overalls and an engineer's hat. That would be pretty cute. But I also don't know why I look like a locomotive-related fox. But I
do though.
I do really like that picture of that I managed to get when I took Fox to the Railroad Museum and got to be inside the it was the Hitachi, I think it was, that was in. I think it was a Hitachi. No, it was a Coming. I was in a Coming. And that was awesome. That was so cool. Holy hell, that was awesome. Wait, was it a Coming? 1 second. Why have I forgotten? I have to.
It was older than a comment. For sure, older than a comment.
Was it older than a comment? No, I was in front of one.
I
was in front of one. Let me have a look.
I thought it was older than a comment. I thought it was a much more older train.
I don't know. Jesse would know. Jesse remembers. Jesse, was a Hitachi that I was in or a Coming?
It was a Hitachi.
It was a Hitachi? Okay.
Because Jesse knows all.
Oh yeah, Jesse knows all. Did he say? Oh, it was a Hitachi. Oh, you already said that. Okay, you saw it before the thingo.
Yes, I have the best internet connection.
Yeah. Just seeing if I could pull up a picture of it so I could show you all from my phone onto here. Just before all of that. There we go.
You were standing in front of
Oh yeah, no, that's
Met
definitely
Harris.
that is definitely a Hitachi. Oh,
It's a Met Harris, apparently.
No, that was the one I was standing in front of. So that was that one. Oh, that's very sorry. One sec. So that one, and then there was this of me inside it. So yeah, that was fun. That was really fun. I had a really good time.
So that I was actually wondering to ask you, Mr. Michael,
Yes.
Mr. Foxy.
Yes. You know, you can call me
there it is.
whatever. I'm not fussed.
Is my compression or my AI compression too extreme lately?
What do you mean?
I've turned on a few things that will...
For video, for audio?
For audio. That will stop you from being...
Yeah. So
I guess I'll listen back to it and judge for myself.
You listen back to it and judge for yourself. I know that
so
I'm...
apparently, no one should be able to hear anything aside from the things that I say. So you should not be able to hear me eating chips, sipping on anything. There should be no sound coming from me other than my voice. Which I think is beautiful. The fact that that can actually be a thing to me, technological marvel.
Yes.
That's insane.
Yes. When you were eating before, I could not see any movement of the levels. So that was pretty good. And I wish that my audio coming from the camera could have the same benefits as what you've got, but it doesn't. And as a result, we have to separate the audio from us to the stream. It's a bit annoying. The whole thing's just annoying.
But, even when I'm burping, if I burp or do anything like unsanitary, let's say,
I just burped.
Never mind.
Could hear that.
No one hears anything.
Oh, smells
And
of garlic. That's
it's
so
not
bad.
there.
There's nothing worse than when
Garlic.
you burp wearing a fursuit because you cannot escape that, and it's not a good time. And you go, oh well, good to know. I did in fact eat what I ate 6 hours ago,
Hmm.
whether you like it or not.
Whether you
Six
like
hours
it or
ago,
not.
3 hours ago. How long was it? No, 9. Oh no, it was 6 hours ago. Oh, whatever. Anyway, I'm
That's
an
one
idiot.
thing I never liked about wearing masks. The only
Yes.
problem I ever have about wearing a mask is that I can smell my own breath.
Oh yeah, and it's not pleasant. It is not pleasant.
Oh,
At
it's
least when
not
you've got a
pleasant.
fox suit, because obviously any breathing that you're doing does go through. In my character's case, goes through the mouth, and it's mostly the ventilation's mostly okay. It's not the best,
Yeah.
but it's certainly not the worst. You compare it to wearing an N95 corona protection, and then you get all these people complaining about the breathing quality through that. And then I've seen some furries go, "Oh, you complaining about that? We've had it just as bad." And it's just like, yeah, but A, you do that because you choose to, and B, it's actually not as bad as wearing, an
Yeah,
N95 mask. And I saw,
I
I'll just
can't
quickly add,
imagine it being as bad.
it's not as bad, but I'll just quickly add, I saw at a couple of pictures on the internet that some people made corona masks for their fursuit, which just, it looked so stupid. And,
Goodbye, Mr. Jesse, by the way.
oh, damn, is it that time already? It's past 9. Gotta go. Probably be back later if I can. See you next time. Very well, my friend. Thank you for tuning in. Much appreciated. And yes. But yeah, man. I thought that was really quite funny and silly and counterintuitive. And apparently, I read this somewhere on the internet.
Oh, yes, the most reliable source of information.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Oh, yes.
Apparently, there was a convention over in the States where people had to wear corona protection underneath their costumes, which just seems like trying to kill the people. And I think that's fucking hilarious. That is so fucking funny.
How to kill one bird with 2 stones?
Yeah, man.
You know? Nah, forget efficiency.
Yeah.
We're like, nah, hit as many stones at the fucking bird as you can. Let's go! What? You've
Yeah.
already got a mask on.
Yeah.
It's a
Yeah.
massive fur thing.
Yeah. Yeah. Do I try
What do
it?
they mean?
Do I try it? Should I try it?
Well, I mean,
Do I try it? I'll just see. I'm curious. All right, what we're gonna do, just for anyone who's tuning in now,
just for the sake
did-
of finding out if it's worse or not.
for the lols, I'm going
For the
to
lols.
I'm going to put some corona protection on underneath the fox because apparently there are conventions where you have to do that, which I find so ridiculous, so foolish. But I'm going to try it. I'm going to see how bad it is. So, one moment. Take Foxy off. Oh. Ooh. All right.
I'll see it in about 20 seconds' time.
Yeah, the latency is pretty bad.
Hmm.
Oh, bloody hairs
But
in my
it
mouth
gets
all the time.
very high quality.
At least I won't have issues of getting hairs in my mouth.
I will, for the next stream, I will set it to the lower quality, the lower latency one.
Yep.
Just to see what happens.
Yeah.
And if the quality dips too badly, I guess that will be the test run.
Yes. All right. Let's see. I've got the corona protection on. So this is going to be double kill. And we'll see just how bad it is because apparently, as I say, there is conventions over in the States that were making people wear corona protection underneath their suit, and I don't imagine how it's even possible. So I'm going to try it because I'm an idiot, as we all know. All right. Good luck, me. This is going to suck. Okay, it is on my face. okay, I reckon I will die. Yep, this is going to be bad.
I think it will indeed be bad.
How are you meant to breathe?
No.
No, that's just stupid. How? Oh, nah, fuck that. That's dumb. That is so dumb. Oh no, my
That
thing,
was short-lived.
my thing fucking. Where's my AirPod? Oh, there it is. All right. That is dumb. That is so stupid. Why would you do that?
Breathing is secondary for you, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah, that is absolutely ridiculous. Anyway, I'm glad I tried that. I think that's very funny. They should continue that as a policy, please. Apparently, they don't monitor it either, because I mean, what are they going to do? Hey, I need you to remove that so I can inspect.
Yeah.
Like, sure, go for it, man.
Yeah, have fun.
There's people. Oh, that reminds me. Actually, there's people who get really, really pissy or antsy about them not being known who they are underneath their fursuit, and that's something that I always find quite interesting because it's like you're not a celebrity. What have you got to hide? Unless they are.
Yeah.
Maybe they are actually.
No, but like that's the thing, right? Is you could be a little bit of a celebrity. You could be quite popular in certain circles.
Yeah.
And in that case, your personal anonymity is of the utmost importance. And
I suppose there's like nothing too wrong with anonymity, but it just, I don't know. I suppose when I come from my unpopular outer circle, I look at it and I go, that actually seems really conceited. But I suppose in the end of the day, it's like, who cares if I think it's conceited? It doesn't matter what I think because you can just do whatever you want. Like, you know.
Well, I put it this way. I mean,
so
if I was able to just put on a face mask of whatever, it doesn't have to be furry or anything. But if I just put on a mask,
yeah,
and then I was doing something, let's say, very naughty.
Oh, obviously you wouldn't want people to know. Oh, I get it. Porn.
Yes. And if I was doing some very odd things, let's say.
Like dabbing?
Yeah, like... and then...
we just did that at the same time. That was quite magical.
You know, and then that got out with my actual face.
Yes.
I might have a problem with that.
Yes.
Yeah. So, I can definitely understand it.
Yeah.
For sure.
I can understand little bits of it, but it's like it also I can't get over the initial response that is within my gut which says conceited. And it's like again, I tell myself, hang on a moment there, buddy. What you think is meaningless because you yourself are a meaningless existence on the planet. So it's
what
like
do you
your
mean
voice
by
has
conceited, though?
Conceited.
Like, what do you mean? Because like
conceited, as in like you know, to be conceited is to think up of oneself, to think higher of oneself, and so it's sort of like, oh well, I think I am celebrity enough to mean for anonymity to mean something valuable in this regards, right?
But for some people, anonymity could mean something as simple as one person who was slightly close to another person they know. Let's say I had a coworker, right?
Yes.
Who knew my mum.
Yes.
Now, to me personally, I wouldn't actually care at all because I'm very blasé about such things. But let's say I wasn't, and my coworker knew my mum quite well, and was very interested in my extracurricular activities on Twitter.
Oh, good.
Oh, good.
Extracurricular.
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 And they started getting a little bit out of hand.
Yes.
And Uh, then they started moving in a different direction where eventually my face was seen because I had to check for security. It's not about how many people saw me. It's just the fact that that one person saw me.
I suppose I can see that as making sense when we talk about the furry fandom. You do have people who can be a little bit obsessed. And I suppose if we're talking about it's those people who go out
Or a
of
little
their way.
closeted.
Yeah,
Like there are a lot of closeted people, and
yeah,
we can't forget the
yeah,
we can't forget our comrades in closets.
yes,
Let's put it that way. Like, because really, it's a bit much,
yes.
and when people expose you without you asking for it, it's never nice.
Mm.
Mm. And I think that's more what it's about. I think that's the bigger thing.
Yeah, I think so I think I'll just add to that where my initial reaction stems from. I think makes more sense to me now in my older age than it did way back when, because it used to really get to me back when I was younger and I first began getting involved in the furry community versus
Mm,
now. The way I see it
mm,
now is, and this is very much a dissociated, you're just a grumpy old man PTSD thing, is
mm.
the fact that for me, I'm like, look, man, I could have died through either my own actions in depression or through getting hit by a car, right, by accident, or through, I don't know, getting cancer and dying, right? Life is so meaningless. There is no point to any of this until we make it have meaning and give it a point by pursuing something. And so, who gives a fuck? You know? Like, if someone wants to go out of their way to do this, are they killing you? No. If they are making you upset, well, then just change your relationship to the physiological response that you're having when you feel upset and react to it differently to a standpoint of, well, I can't control what they're doing. I suppose you can control it by making an attempt at anonymity, but then you've got the risk of being found out. And if you're found out, then there's an even bigger physiological response because now there was an investment. There was the investment of time and of energy in remaining anonymous. And now it's a bigger deal. And then there's this fight to remain anonymous while that is being attempted to be broken down because people turn it into a bit of a game, into a bit of a fantasy of finding out who that person is, which is a little bit foolish, but such is life. And that's why for me, it's like, well, in my later years of 27, later years of 27, I'm an old man now. But in these in my age now that I've experienced PTSD and I'm living with that, I don't care personally for what anyone's going to say or do because I have no control over it. It's like if people want to plaster my name out on the internet and say all kinds of terrible things for me, I cannot change that. What I can do is I can continue to be myself. I can continue to produce videos that explain my story. I can continue to, whenever it is that I feel like it, take
Uh,
Fox off on camera and be myself, show who it is that I actually am, and have that assigned to anything that is associated to me. And if people wish to
uh,
share things that are either incorrect or correct, false or true, hearsay or, actual fact, I can't change that. But I can continue to be myself and I have control over that. And then that baseline, any deviancy from that baseline is not out of anticipation. It just happens, and you go, well, that was what it was. The car's still driving. We're still moving in this direction, so that's okay.
So I am always, and I mean always,
Yes.
going to commend you on the fact that you are a much stronger person who is capable of these things.
Yes.
Um,
I'm a
always.
broken person. I'm a broken
is
person, but that makes me stronger
capable.
because I
You
put
are
myself back
broken,
together.
yes, but you are capable of things that you weren't capable of before.
Absolutely.
And the thing is not only did I know you during early years, but I knew other people as well.
Mm.
And those other people that I knew were having a very bad time
Yeah.
with coming out with the fact that they were either gay or bisexual.
Yeah, they're RGB.
Or whatever it is, the RGB, whatever.
RGB
I
community.
don't care, man.
Yeah.
Slap labels wherever you want it. It's not important to me. Who are you? And I'll have a
Yes.
conversation and figure it out. But everyone, struggles with their thing, and I think a lot of people, even now, after most of the world has turned around and said, "Okay, yeah, go get married, whatever, don't care.
Yep.
It doesn't affect me." Even after most of the world has said that, there's still this little bit of, it's not natural. There's still this little bit of, well, I would never fricking do that. What's wrong with you?
Oh yeah,
And
yeah. Still, those little stabs from people. Yeah.
because
Yeah.
it still exists, that lack of understanding, that lack of realizing that actually, if you just imagine the fact that you favored one thing over the other for a second, you would see how simple it is and how strange it is to ask certain questions.
Yeah.
Even to me, I find it very cringe
Yes.
when someone says, "Why are you XYZ?"
Mm.
I find that very cringe at this point in my life.
Yes.
But, oh, yes. But there was a point where I would have understood that kind of a question and not
Yeah.
had any cringe factor and been along with them and said, "Yeah, why?"
Yeah.
But I'm a little older now and I understand. And so it's as
Yeah.
simple as sort of asking the same question as to, why do you find the opposite sex as attractive as you do?
Yeah.
And so, uh, it's all very much in the same sort of boat, I feel.
Yeah.
And it's all very difficult and at the same time very trivial.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah.
This brings some thoughts to my mind.
Yeah.
I
like thoughts.
Yeah, I used to make a big deal of this. So my voice is really croaky at the moment. I don't have corona. Just want to make that known. Maybe I do.
Maybe.
I need to socially distance our little stream cameras further apart. Put little barrier there called the anti-corona barrier, which will be located here on the stream, right here. And yeah, be from there down to there. Excellent. Moving on. I used to make a big deal of this, and I still will, because
You will?
yeah, I still will. Thinking about it, which is when people get quite upset at when others ask.
My headphone.
Oh, GG. It is the big deal about when people ask a question, and when their question is told to be offensive, when they've asked it with the potential that it actually stems from curiosity and not from a place of hate. But even if it does come from a place of hate, if you treat it that it comes from curiosity, then you're not seeing someone who's taking the bait. You're seen as someone who is simply just existing as someone who is a good person, a well-meaning person, and someone that's here to have a conversation, here to educate, here to help others. And the reason why I'm mentioning this is it was something that you said before. I can't remember exactly what it was that brought this memory back, but the reason it was such a big deal for me was I couldn't get over the fact that if it was ever to be a genuine question, it's instantly been dismissed. And if it's instantly been dismissed, that person, they live in a linear timeline, as do we all. And in this linear timeline, we will experience things, signposts, writings on the wall, people that give us messages, lessons, encounters that trouble us, that test us, that challenge us, that help us, whatever it may be. But we now experience someone who we wished to find out something, and they immediately started throwing punches at us, these erratic punches. As far as we were concerned, it was erratic. And so, because of my genuine question being interpreted as non-genuine and being interpreted as something that comes from a hateful space, I've now been shut down. I've now been denied any opportunity to learn, to broaden my knowledge and understanding and appreciation for the vibrancy of this planet. And so again, I can't remember why this sort of was brought up in my head, but it's just, mentioning this, I suppose it ties into the video title, actually. Is this what you want? Well, is this what you want in someone asking a question that could be genuine, you immediately taking the place of, how dare you ask that question offends me, whether it be about my sexuality, about my religion, about my interests, right, whatever it may be, to instead meet it with actual, genuine, real answers and a real desire to have a conversation. At no point will any genuine interest and curiosity of theirs be thwarted, and they're in their mind, in that linear timeline of theirs, them thinking this topic equals danger. This topic, when I inquire about it, equals conflict. And if they're told in their mind that there is conflict with that topic, I tell you what, when it comes to them supporting your people later on in life, whenever that may be, for whatever reason that may be that you need support or that you need acknowledgement, they're not going to be batting for your team. They'll be batting for the opposite team, because they know that the topic is standoff. They know that the topic will always be met with cornflakes. We don't like the cornflakes. Do you remember having to do essays in school about cornflakes?
Cornflakes.
Yeah.
Need
good old
sugar.
conflict.
Without cornflakes, sugar is meaningless.
That makes sense, actually.
Unfortunately,
Oh, did you please tell me you wrote that at school?
never. Um, although it's oddly workable.
Yes,
Um,
yes.
so when Mr. Voxy and I were in year 12, quite often
Ooh,
we were told to write about conflict, and conflict, as we all know, requires sugar. No, this is something that I've learnt later on in
yeah,
years.
yeah.
It's something really true, and I actually have a note um, for when I next see um, a psychologist of mine that I think is quite awesome.
Yes.
Um, and that is the fact that when I encounter conflict
Cornflakes.
of any kind,
Yes.
um, I have the default to be very generous to the person that presented the conflict. Whoever it is, whatever the conflict is, I am very generous about it. So if you're
Yeah.
homophobic, let's say, I will assume that you have not properly been educated. And let's say you say something very, very racist. I will assume that you don't understand anything about the country that you're trying to talk about. And that you are just coming from a place of ignorance, and that is completely fine, and that you don't actually mean badly. You don't mean to be as horrible as you're being.
Yeah.
And there is this generosity, right, that emanates, and that is my default go-to. And so it's a thing that I want to bring up, because the thing is some people do mean to be less generous.
Yeah.
What do you do with those people? What do you do with them?
It's always
What
a
do you
lick
do with
in the boot.
someone who is genuinely racist?
12
I've
volt.
never met anyone like that.
12-volt battery. And no, it freaks them out, man.
Mm.
You know, and the sparks, and they're like, I love it.
Uh,
Yeah, man. What do you do with those people? Well, I stand by my answer, but I'm sure there's better answers, and I will think of them.
12 volt, just plug them right into the wall,
Nah, plug them into the
240
wall.
volt,
Plug them into the wall, yeah. Or 100
plug them
and,
into the wall.
120 volt if you're in the States.
Yeah, 120 volt if you're in the
Yeah.
States.
Yeah. Mind
Wow.
you, I think in kitchens in the States are 240 volt. I think there's like some parts of the house that run on 240 and some parts of the house that run on 110, 120. I don't know. I can't remember. It was really weird. I looked it up and I was bloody confused. But anyway, it was a weird, weird situation that we're not getting into because that has nothing to do with what we're talking about. But, what do you do with those people that are coming from a bad space? I think if you establish that they're coming
Yeah,
from a
what
bad
do you
space,
do with them?
yeah, if we can establish that without any shadow of doubt that they 100% are coming from a space of negativity, of cornflakes, of a need to antagonize, well, then it's a matter of, well, we need to accept the fact that they perhaps don't want to engage in a conversation. Perhaps they want to antagonize. Perhaps they want to. Perhaps their meaning of antagonize is to see a reaction and a response that meets the response appropriate for their antagonizing behavior. And
Mm.
it's tricky because I can say that, and all of a sudden it's like, you just sound like one of the teachers in the schoolyard going, if you ignore the
No,
bully
no,
won't.
but here's the thing, right? You actually bring up a really valid point,
As I always do.
um, as you always do,
Thank you.
because quite recently, something that happened to me,
Oh, yes.
um, is I'm living in this house where we've always had very beautiful human beings here. Um, and quite recently, there's been a more
Abrasive
interest
personality.
interesting human being is what I was going to say, but abrasive personality works just as well.
Yeah, there are other words to describe him. The person in question. One way to describe would be abrasive, but that's beyond the point.
Fascinating.
Fascinating,
Uh, could
perplexing,
be another one.
irrational,
Perplexing. Yeah.
irrational. I think because I don't think it has
Mm.
it. I call this person an it. That's quite
It.
awful of me. I don't think that person has the
It.
ability to rationalize. I don't think he
Not.
has the
Not.
ability to
Not to the
rationalize.
extreme degree. No. Yeah.
Yeah,
No.
yeah, yeah,
Definitely
yeah.
not.
There's limits there, and if there's limits, that
Mm.
means that he can't rationalize. That's my belief. Anyway, continue.
Mm.
Continue.
So, coming to the point of just wanting to make things interesting, right?
Yes.
Um, there was a point where they just wanted to make things interesting. And their version of making things interesting was picking a fight
Yes.
and finding any excuse they could to do that. Now, I am very. I'm controversial, right? But even when I'm controversial and everything that I talk about, I'm very fluid. I'm like, yeah, but nah, but yeah, but nah, but yeah, but nah. I have a little bit of a very I don't sit in any particular side of the fence with very many topics, and so it's hard to peg me down and say you said something awful. Um, but he found a way of pegging not only me but my brother down and saying we did some terrible things and said some terrible things. He found the way. It's really difficult with us, but he did it anyway. Now my response was actually not one that I take very often, which was aggression. The reason that I chose that response is because I already knew where he was coming from. I knew that he would not stop until he got what he wanted. And I also knew that was the best way to get, let's just say, reinforcements from other housemates. And so it was an interesting sort of thing, right? So somebody's coming at you. They are mildly aggressive. And they are trying to peg certain things on you. And they have nothing really specific to peg. They're just flitting from one topic to another really quickly, right? So you know for a fact what they're trying to do is just find something so that they can get a rise out of you.
Mm.
You know that that's what they're doing.
Yeah.
one reaction is to not give them the rise, right? That's what a school teacher would tell you.
Yeah.
They would say, oh, they're just trying to get a rise out of you. There's no point doing that. Just don't do it. But I'm not in a schoolyard. And I don't have a school teacher to help me.
Yeah, and you also, when you're in the schoolyard, you're normally not dealing with someone who, if they were to throw a punch, could equate to death. Because he has the build, the structure to throw a one punch kill to you. You know, if he struck you in the wrong spot, that would be it. That would you would die. You know, he hit you in the temple.
Yeah.
You're gone now, mate. Like that's it.
Yeah.
And
so you have to know how to properly deal with those situations.
Yeah.
And as weird as it seems, right? It seems so completely counterintuitive.
Yeah.
But one of the things I learned spending many years in a place where people were very different and affected by certain things.
Different
And affected.
Different.
Is that sometimes you have to give them half of what they want. And it really does depend. You gotta be able to notice. There's certain nuances that you really have to be able to pick out. But sometimes the best course of action is to give them half of what they want. You give them half of what they want, and then you give them something that they didn't want. And in my case, it was half of what you want. Yes, now I'm yelling.
Yeah.
You got a rise out of me. Good job. Right, you got me actually yelling and angry. It's very difficult to get me actually angry.
Yeah.
It's very difficult to get me actually angry. But, you know, here you go. I'll give it to you.
Yeah.
And at the same time, I'm going to give you something you didn't want, which was witnesses. And other people around me, so that I have a solid
Entourage.
An entourage.
I just say that because it sounds fancy. I think it's an entourage.
Yeah, I did have an entourage.
Yeah.
So
you had a security detail.
Yeah, I had a security detail. So I gave them what they wanted, but at the same time, I gave them what they didn't want.
Yeah.
And so that's a very... That puts them in a very strange position, right? Yeah. And so it puts them in a weird spot where they're now scrambling really hard to find something to attack you with. Let's say, if you were smart, you'd hit me.
Yeah, that's right. You said that. Yeah.
Yeah, that's one example.
Yeah, and then that goes to the title, the big title of the video up here somewhere.
Is this what you want?
Is this what you want?
No,
I did the worst job of pointing. Is it even up there? Is it down there?
Depends on your YouTube video and your resolution of your screen.
It's just me looking like an absolute idiot. I love it. But anyways,
I can put it over here, and now now it's like down there for me.
No matter. But anyways, it comes back to that question, which is this what you want? And it's like, is he even in a position to answer that? Because you're talking to someone who, like, he drives a motor vehicle without having a license, as his license
Mm,
was revoked by
mm,
Victorian police. And so
mm.
you sit there and go, I don't feel that he can answer that question in any reasonable way, because he has proven that he is unable to make decisions that are sensible, that are just, that are reasonable, that are forward thinking. He really lives for the moment, which is why he's such a dangerous personality, because anyone who lives for the moment,
Well, he
such as,
has
you
fun,
know,
right?
he has
He's
fun.
having a lot of fun.
So is this what you want? And the answer is actually yes. He has answered that
Mm,
with yes because he wants fun. He
yes.
wants to have a
He,
little bit of a banter, and his
mm,
banter is feeling some form of physical response, i.e., bruising, right, from him
mm.
being hit, right? He wants that. And he also then wants to grab that and meet that with his fist meeting somewhere on your body in the
Mm.
form of a punch, which then gives him the nice little tickly feelings that you get and the strain through all the bones in your knuckles. And so he's made the
Knuckles.
decision that that gives him a euphoric release, right? Somehow it
Mm.
gives him a euphoric release, or at least in a dysphoric release,
And in
he
and
somehow takes solace in that.
in the interest of philosophox,
Oh, good.
which is the main part of this, I want to actually bring this into a little bit of a philosophy trip.
Oh, here we go.
Oh dear. Basically, oh dear.
Yep.
He knows that that is what he wants.
In that moment.
In that moment.
In that
And I know
moment.
what I want in my moment.
Yes.
But one philosophy that I have
Yes.
is that just about anyone, and this is something I actually really, really strongly agree with and believe, is
Yep.
that just about everybody on the planet only does what they want to do. However, if they truly understand what they want, they will only do morally correct things. And that is a really tricky thing, because the thing is Matt at that time just wanted to have fun. But if he really just wanted to have fun, a big part of having fun is when other people are having fun with you. And if you understand that well enough, you actually do have more fun when other people are having fun with you. And so that is what you do. And it's all about an understanding game at that point. So basically, what I'm saying is every time someone does something that is immoral, that goes against the flow of what other people want, they are intrinsically they are missing the whole point of what it is that they want. and they just can't see deep enough or far enough or anything like that. They are missing the bigger picture of what it is they're striving for.
I will not disagree with what you just said. What you just said there, I will not disagree with. But I would like to raise point to my disagreements with what was said before, but in a way that I want to know, will you be discussing this with your psychologist and pitching this in the same way that you have pitched it here?
Quite possibly.
And I would,
It's quite possible.
if so, I would be ruddy well curious to know what it is that your psychologist tells you about that and how they explain this other person's psyche, whether, you know, this is something where we all genuinely do come from a good, positive space, or whether we have
I think it's true.
Yeah, and I would like to. I
Yeah.
would like that discussion. If you ever have that with your psychologist, I want to know how that discussion goes. And if your psychologist just tells you, I think we need to agree to disagree, because that would make me laugh. And I can see it happening. I can see it happening.
I would do that noise right back to. Honestly, I'm so sure. I am so incredibly sure of this point.
Yeah.
That I would just make that noise back at her and tell me, please explain.
Yep.
Please explain. I
Yeah,
need to know.
If she
Because-
explains it as far as you know, psychological studies go, and presents all that information to you,
I would completely do a backflip.
Okay, because I'd be curious. I'd be curious the day that you do bring that up, if you do, because I know it's an expensive thing to bring up to her, because it's like, you know, it's
Costs
pointless when there are bigger fish to fry.
No, well, there
But-
is, but it is actually a note in my phone, right?
Yeah,
Because I need a mechanism
yeah,
right now. This is how I am.
yeah,
This is how I view the world.
yeah,
And because this is how I view the world, I'm capable of understanding varying levels of evil behavior.
yeah. Which
Right?
comes down
And
to the
so-
fact that it's helpful in your position.
them.
No,
For
it's
them.
helpful for you and them.
Well,
right?
it is helpful for me.
It's helpful
yes.
for you and them, because it's not putting you into a position where you're fearful. You're not in a position where you're thinking of the worst possible thing that can happen, because you know
Well,
that their capacity
it is.
to kill.
But, like, I get to understand, okay, they're doing this thing that is completely evil,
yeah,
completely horrible,
yeah,
completely so bad
yes,
that it brings me physical feelings of nausea.
yes,
This person doing those things, I still get to see where they're coming from and see how it's helpful for them and how they think that this is the easiest path to enjoyment of life.
yeah,
And as disgusted and physically repulsed as I am by their understanding, which to me is a very sad lacking of understanding,
yeah,
it's still helpful for me to be able to say, okay, they just want to feel good.
Well, that's a definite. They do just want to feel good. We all want to feel
just-
good.
No.
We're in this point of we're going to do something that will bring us a good feeling, and that good feeling may be I might not necessarily do what's in my own best interest, but if it's in the best interest of another person, and I can see that there has been a positive impact by my actions, then I get positive feelings out of it from that standpoint and not from my own personal betterment. So it's a different but positive release.
Yes, and I honestly think that the most positive feeling that anyone, okay, oh God, so,
Yes.
so I think, oh God,
Haha.
rewind.
Haha. I win. I win.
No, stop.
Stream end.
There's this other question, right? Which is, the question is something along the lines of, are people intrinsically selfish or selfless? I think that is a dumb question.
Yes.
I think people just want to feel good.
Yes.
And the easiest way to make someone feel good is for them to make someone else feel good.
Whereas I believe that in order for one person to feel good, they need to do what it is that they feel they need to do to feel good.
Which is always help someone else.
I don't believe that it is always help someone else. I believe, it is my understanding that it is... Well, I could prove you wrong by pointing at any narcissist that I've met, because they do decisions, they make decisions, right?
They only feel good when they think they're right and they never are.
There is that. There is the point of control. There is it really is a lot of thinking within the self. And you said it yourself, which basically would answer that, yes, in that case, they're not really seeing the positivity and betterment of the other person. And so to me, I don't deny that a lot of people are...
They think they're doing a good thing. Narcissists still think they're doing a good thing for someone else. Even when they're doing something awful, they still think they're doing a good thing for someone else.
That's not my understanding of narcissism. But again, if you ever bring this up with your psychologist, I'd love to know how that conversation goes in how they break that down.
I'll let you know. I'll let you know.
Yeah.
For sure.
Man, fucking, we need to just have our own resident psychologist in this stream well. Sitting there, like, reading a book and just, like, fact-checking every now and then, going, you're an idiot. And I'll be like, oh, good, it's me. I'm the idiot. I'm the idiot.
Yeah. How much does that cost, by the way? We need to figure this one out. I would love to have this happen.
Every stream we do is $300.
Yeah, but seriously, I think this is...
That's a Patreon thing. Let's do it.
Oh dear. Yeah, if our channel gets
to 1,000 subscribers,
we'll get ourselves in a psychologist. Yeah, 100%.
And we will do it with me in Fox, Daniel in a tuxedo. Yeah.
When 1,000 subscribers hits.
Yeah, we'll do it. We'll do it. 100%. Hold us to that. Hold us to that.
Have any question you want for an actual psychologist.
Yeah.
Whatever you want. Yes.
Yeah.
Get this shared, and then we will make a psychologist come to this.
Yeah. Oh, that'd be so rough for the poor person. Oh my goodness.
No psychologists.
And ones that aren't willing to be on Thigo.
I know potentially a couple that could be willing to come on our channel.
Oh, that'd be funny.
Oh, that'd be good.
Funny.
Oh,
anyway,
I'd like that so much.
So there we go. So if we hit 1,000 subs, so please, if you're not subscribed yet, please do so. Our channel content is very questionable, and you'll love it because it's all terrible. So
Mm.
join in, please. But
But
yeah,
yeah, that's I'm curious. Do you think?
no, I don't
Oh,
think. I don't
oh,
have a brain, so I
well,
can't think.
like,
But carry
I
on.
guess I
If I
guess
could
this is a
think,
dead end
if I could
conversation.
think, if I could think, what would I have to think about?
No, I'm curious. Do you
Yeah.
think that someone who does something that you know is to be god awful,
Yes.
do you think they did that in a way where when they were doing it, they thought that they were doing something bad for you?
Yes. It is my understanding, yes, because my psychologist has said for every instance that it has happened, that yes, they did so for their own self interests.
No,
Because
no, no, not for their own
humans,
self-interest. That's not the point. The point is, did they do it understanding that you would have a bad time?
okay, so
Because that's different.
in the case of my first relationship, the one involving the abuse, the answer to that, according to my psychologist, is yes.
Mm.
With everything that has been explained, broken down, incidents that have been, that occurred over that relationship, when it came to deception. So
Mm.
is in a
Deception's
way
trickier.
deception in a way is actually the answer to that question, which is like you're doing so knowing that you need to hide it, and you're hiding it because you know if you were open about it, it would be very bad and very damaging.
So
And
the
so,
whole point of everything
in a
that they
way,
did
it
was to
actually is for
hide.
your interest because they didn't want you to
Yeah.
feel bad. But it's
Yes.
also on the same token where it actually does more bad than it does good, which they know it does because they know they need
Yes.
to deceive anyway. So it's actually a bigger
Completely
no.
retarded.
It's a bigger
Completely
no
dopey.
than it is a positive. And as a
Yes.
result, that would match with what my psychologist has mentioned, which is they're doing that knowing that it's doing bad
So
because
they know that they're doing bad,
more
but
bad than good.
their actions show that they're trying not to do bad. That's why it is deception. So they're
Yes.
trying their best not to do bad.
Yeah, there's a little
They're
bit
being
there that goes to that
completely
side.
derpy about it.
Yes.
They deserve the medal of derpiest person on the planet.
Yes.
100%, yes.
Yes.
Please grow brain cells. If you're watching, god damn, grow a brain cell. Holy god, grow a
Yeah.
brain cell.
Yeah.
But just one brain cell is all that's required to. Anyway,
Yes.
anyway, they didn't intend to do something bad for you. Their intention was not, let's make your life hell. Their intention was something positive in some way, shape, or form. And they were trying to make it only that. They were so narrow-minded, focused on the positive that could be, that they forgot to include the fact that you, Mr. Voxy, obviously actually have brain cells.
Maybe.
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 And so when they did what they did, you noticed it wasn't as a fact of they just did what they did and that you didn't notice, which is probably
Yeah.
their intention. Because they were trying to deceive you. The whole point is deception. And the only reason that deception exists is because they were trying to do something good for them, or good for them and someone else, or whatever
Yes.
derpy
Yes.
thing that they were trying to do. It doesn't matter. Good intentions at heart, completely derpy,
Yes.
not understanding from their behalf. Yes.
So what I'm going
Yeah, that's
to
what I'm saying.
add is that I see it as selfish intentions at heart with a need not to feel like a bad person. And so again, it comes into the self. That's the way that I see it. But I can't stray from that. I cannot stray from that. So just so you know that
Why
that
does
is
selfish
fixed.
matter?
Because selfish is in the self. It comes to how do I make myself feel good under all circumstances, which is,
So
yep,
just to really push that point, because I think that's important.
yep,
I get immeasurable pleasure from knowing that I have made someone else's life better at
yep,
all. Immeasurable pleasure.
yeah,
It makes me feel very good knowing
yeah,
that I have made anything better for anyone else.
yeah.
So,
And that's why you don't set forests on fire in hope to be an arsonist and,
yes.
cause death to, 1,000, 2,000, 10,000 people, a number of homes, right? That's why you don't do that, is because you're not a selfish person. But these people who are
Well,
selfish, who do these
I'm
things
selfish. I am
with, oh,
selfish.
you are selfish, but it's in a
All I want
different
to do is make
way.
myself feel good by helping other
Yes.
people.
Yes, it's
Also, by the way,
selflessly,
hello, Angel
selflessly
Bear O.
selfish.
Hey, Angel Bear O.
Good morning. Good morning.
Good morning.
It is selflessly
Yes.
selfish. Whereas if you grab an
Yeah.
arsonist, they are selfishly selfish because anything that they're
Mm.
doing, causing death to people en
Mm.
masse, there's no
Mm.
possible selflessness that can
Me
come from
shakes head.
that, right?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's just the
Yeah.
way that
Yeah.
it
Yeah.
is. And so it is
That's a bit of
those
a different
points,
story.
yeah,
I
it is
think
those points
that
that I would
is
argue my belief as being sensical for myself
not
is
well.
that we're
I
doing
did say at
things.
the start that
Yeah,
generally I think people
yeah,
want to feel the way. It sounds so conceited if I say it in the way that I was just thinking.
go for it.
Um.
I'll clip it as
Uh.
a short and send it back to you.
Oh God. Um. I think that people in general want to help other people. I think that people in general just want to feel good, but they don't understand how to feel good properly. And so they do stupid things like
I agree with the second,
um,
not with the first thing you
being
said.
an arsonist. They
Yeah,
do stupid things like being an arsonist, by being a rapist, by being someone who would do horrible things in general,
yeah,
but they're doing it in a way where they're just thinking, this is how I'm going to get my enjoyment. But
yes,
they don't quite understand yet, operative word, that if they were just to figure themselves out a bit and take a bit of a rewind, and I am going to make like a little concession here.
yeah,
There are some people that have to deal with the fact that they are in fact um, psychopaths, and
yeah.
that is a very difficult thing to deal with.
Excellent. I will now
My heart
accept
goes out to
everything
you.
that you're saying because you've made
My
that
heart goes
concession.
out to you.
But
My
without
heart
that
goes out to
concession,
you.
yeah,
But for everybody else, yes.
yeah,
No, you might think these things, but the thing is you're actually not properly educated enough yet on as to what it is that what you really enjoy. The most enjoyment you can get out of life for the vast majority of people aside those very special ones that we just touched on, um, is that they would help others. I
Yeah.
think that is the default mode for people.
Yeah.
And so when people do things that are negative in general, I get very generous, and I get this feeling of, oh, you haven't realized yet. If you just help and be nice, you would feel better in life. I have this feeling of that, and
Yeah.
it's the first thing that comes out of me. It's really weird and counterintuitive, I think, maybe, but it is legitimately the first thing that comes out of me.
Yeah. Yeah. A reminder to anyone who is watching who is not subscribed, if you subscribe and we manage to hit 1,000 subscribers,
We'll
we
get us a
will
psychologist.
absolutely get a psychologist, a clinical psychologist to join our stream. And we will pitch as many wonderful questions that you all can come up with in advance, and we'll grab all the best little nuggets and break everything down. And then when we've got things that we're still wanting to, I think what we do, that actually makes sense actually. What we'll do is we'll get all the questions that we can possibly get. We'll then have a live video breaking down all of the wonderful questions we've got, and then leave it to all of the really good questions that, even though we've touched on, we then pitch it again and say, are these questions we think we need a psychologist's validation on? And so then we have that moment of validation, that moment of clarification, and then we go, have we touched on everything else well enough? I think that would work quite well.
I think as we get closer to that goal as well, we're going to have a Discord channel made solely for that. No, we will.
Yeah,
As we get closer to that goal, we'll have a Discord channel a Discord channel made so that people can post the questions for the psychologist, and we can curate them, and we can bring them down to something a little bit more reasonable.
Yeah.
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah.
Galambino.
Sorry, Galambino. I know.
You guys
I haven't replied to your comment.
40 minutes, and I'm having a lot of hard time understanding. Ooh, I feel like it's correct information. Well, the thing is we're actually disagreeing at the moment in some way.
We're actually.
And so, you're gonna have different information from both sides, but it makes me think a lot more than I understand. Okay, can we simplify? Can we compress it into something that's a little easier to digest?
Oh shit!
Can we make this easier to digest? Can we bring this down to a simple circumstance?
I don't know if I can, because this sort of comes down to it's like an understanding of why people behave the way they do, the cognition behind people, their goal in it's like what we're discussing is, hey, person A, hey Barry, why did you just buy that coffee for that strange person that has been talking to you that you've never met before, that started talking to you and asked you to buy them a coffee? Why did you do that? Or hey, hey, Sandra, why did you just set fire to this forest, which then caused 10,000 homes to burn down and people die, right? And so what we're
Look,
discussing is why are these people doing these things? And we're discussing that in more of a philosophical way. And I think
Mr.
that's the best way to simplify it, I think. I don't know.
Mr. Galambino,
Galambino, you got it.
I
It's like a drink. It's a
Galambino.
Galambino. Like, oh yeah, I'd like a Galambino, please.
Oh, please. Mr. Galambino, I am going to go away for about 5 minutes.
Oh, good. That means guitar.
Mr. Foxy is going to bring out the guitar. He's going to play some amazing, beautiful music for you.
Yeah.
And when I come back, very hopefully, I will have thought of something that is lightly resembling something something a little easier to digest, so that we can all properly understand what the crux of what we're trying to say is.
Yes.
Yes. Alrighty,
Yeah.
I'll be back.
All right. Good luck. We believe in you. Um. Oh, okay. For everyone, the things that Daniel's been saying, I've got AirPods in, and so I can hear him on the phone as he's just ducked off, and you guys all can't hear him, and it's pretty bad. So, oh dear. Good music. Thank you. Oh, hello. I'll get the hang of that eventually. I just can't play it when I'm wearing Fox because I can't see where my fingers are. Oop. I wouldn't survive as a guitarist if I lost my eyesight. There's no question. I would like it to be known that I've never played that before, but I'm quite happy with how that sounded, and I thought I just sort of zoned out and then I woke back up. And anyway, I am now awake. The problem with guitar is that guitar can put you into a trance if you are musically challenged, like myself. And so anyway, I went on La La Land, and now I am back. So there you go. Okay, what have I missed? It's just one thing. I can't overcome interactions with people. Makes me scared. I understand. I do understand that. That's all good. If I'm correct. Try to play roundabout. Ah, yes, I did try to play roundabout and I failed. Also, like I said, I'm afraid to track. It's a little harder for me to focus and think clearly. Most things you said, I understand. I can't explain it easily by writing it. It's hard to understand. Different people will think differently and understand, see, but in some way or another, we want to make others understand. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Also, Monsieur Daniel.
Hold up. I now see that there are many comments.
Yes. Monsieur Daniel, go back in the stream and listen to what I played on guitar and clip that for me because I want to play cello to it. It actually sounded quite
At a later
pretty.
date, I definitely will.
It sounded quite pretty. I was quite happy with it. While you're reading that, I need to actually duck off for a brief moment, so I'm going to do that.
Okay.
So, be back in a moment.
Oof.
Ooh.
I'm going to address the comments or the chat.
You get so many hairs on
you...
your nose. How do you do that? Where do they all come from? It's a hairy boy.
Right. Well, when you wear such a hairy boy, what do you expect?
Well, yeah. I'm just an idiot. Alright.
Oh dear. Okay, so don't call me Mister.
Yeah, don't call the Galambino Mister. It is just Galambino.
Okay.
And think of Galambino.
I will attempt to do so.
Think of Galambino like a drink, right?
Oh.
It is the Galambino.
The Galambino. As I am, in fact, the Niku.
You're an idiot.
The one and only.
Anyway, back in a sec.
The one and only Niku.
Yeah.
Okay? I don't want to be Mr. Niku. I don't want to be anything else. I just want to be Niku. I am the Niku. That is all. Also, I'm not going to lie. Very hard for me to interact with people. Everything I write, where I'm shaking, I'm worried. So it's something I cannot overcome. I'm gonna stop reading there, and I'm going to say that the fact that you are writing and the fact that you are chatting is a very good sign. I have been in a place where I cannot speak. I've been in a place where I cannot do anything. And being able to just comment or note on anything coming from that kind of being able to comment when you're coming from that kind of a place, I really do appreciate, because it's not a nice place to come from. good on you. Good on you, Galambino, for being able to comment. Sorry, just reading at the moment. Also, we all think differently. I think that's also a very good point. Understand. We want to make others understand. We do.
We absolutely do. It's all about communication.
We really want to make others understand. Yeah, we really want to make others understand, but this sort of the problem.
And when we don't feel understood, that is a major problem.
Yeah, and I don't know how much of this everyone else is hearing. But yes. Feeling validated is a very good thing. We definitely need that validation. But what I was trying to say before was simply that, let's say you have a bully in your school, right? Let's say you bring it all the way back to school years. Wherever you are at, I don't know where you are at.
How old are you,
let's say,
Galambino? I've forgotten. I think Galambino said they might be 15.
yeah, well,
I
that
think.
would make a lot of sense for bullies in their school years.
I think. Sorry, Galambino, if I'm getting that mixed up.
And
Because I might be. Can't remember.
when you have a bully in the school years, my way of thinking basically means that the bully just doesn't understand. It's more of a idea that we all have the same goal. Okay? It's the idea that we all have the same goal, but we reach it in more correct or less correct ways. And so
I don't know about correct or incorrect.
no, because the thing is if your idea is to be happy, let's say, and your idea is to be more understood,
Wouldn't it be in more fulfilling or less fulfilling, in more wholesome or less wholesome, in more
too.
moral or less moral ways? I don't know
That
about
works
correct,
too.
because correct would mean
Because,
that, well, they believe that what happened was correct. So that means that for them, it's correct.
but here's the thing, right? Here's the thing, and this is why I feel you can make something as complicated and difficult as
Yes.
morality into something that is correct or incorrect. As simple as, is what you're doing bringing you closer to what you actually want. Because I think that all morality means, at this point, my belief is that all morality means is that you are bringing yourself closer to what you want.
No. Search up meaning, definition of morality.
Fine.
Yep.
I will
That's
do
sorry,
that right now
sorry,
this
sorry,
second.
sorry to do that to you, but yeah, I would very much
I'll do it right
want
now.
you to, yeah, I would very much want you
Principles
to
concerning discerning between principles concerning the difference between right and wrong, good or bad behavior. So this is exactly what I'm talking about.
Okay, but worded differently.
Worded differently.
Yeah.
I think that if you are being moral, you are doing exactly what you want. I don't think anyone wants
Right or wrong,
to
good
do
or
something bad.
It was right or wrong, good or bad, yeah, in the description.
Yeah, basically, yes.
Yeah.
That is.
If I'm not mistaken, that
that
description
is the definition.
is in regards to its general effect, and right or wrong
No.
is then subjective because
The effect doesn't matter.
okay.
The effect doesn't matter. What you're doing is the
would say
pursuit
otherwise.
of wrong behavior. So, again, morality definition: principles concerning the distinction between right and wrong behavior. Right or wrong, good or bad. I think I can cut off the good or bad and just say right and wrong. So, principles concerning the distinction between right or wrong behavior. Now, I don't think anyone actually wants to do wrong behavior because they think that it is wrong behavior and they're like, okay, that's wrong. I don't want to do the wrong. Now, when I say that I think that morally all people ever want to do is what they want, what I mean is all they ever want is to do something right.
But by their own moral compass.
Exactly.
All right. I'll subscribe to that.
So to them, they're doing something right. And now it brings, and so this is how I'm going to try to make it a little simpler by making it a little bit more complicated just for a moment. And I hope Galambino can follow just for a moment.
Well, finally now I follow you because it needs to be this it needs to be distinguished about the fact that this is in question of the moral compass being out because it's
That's
again
all it is.
it's these words have connotation. These words have connotation and it's important to set the definitions at the start for any of these words to make any sense at all. So now that we've got that clarified, what it is that we're actually discussing here is the fact that these people are doing what they believe is right while their own moral compass is skewed, is off the path. And so it's not that they're doing it knowing that it is a bad thing.
Yes.
It's they're doing it knowing that it is that it is not a bad thing. Right?
Yes.
It is not a bad thing to do.
Yes. Yes.
Not necessarily a good thing, but it's not a bad thing in their mind.
Yes.
Or it could be a good thing or whatever. But yeah, continue.
You can squish it right down to something as what a lot of people would think is trivial, right? And so what a lot of people think would trivial is something like schoolyard bullying. And in schoolyard bullying, you can experience things like someone coming and trying to take your money so that they can buy food from the cafeteria.
Someone taking your Foursquare ball.
Or someone taking your Foursquare ball
I
and
just
then
dabbed. Kicking your spleen in.
kicking your spleen in until you rupture, as I experienced.
Can we do a live stream about that?
We're doing it right now.
No, a proper one.
Oh, maybe.
Yeah.
And so,
Right.
and this harkens back to the point, because even when I had that happen to me, I still thought in this way, which is why I never blamed the person that kicked me down. And so, even though I went through something that was extremely traumatic, it actually wasn't that traumatic for me. Even though I had a really bad experience and had many bad experiences, they were not that bad for me.
Yes, pain is subjective.
Pain is subjective.
Suffering is subjective.
But the reason that it wasn't so bad is because there was so much less hate. There was so much less hate for the other person. And the reason that the hate wasn't there is because I saw that their moral compass wasn't pointing in the right direction at the time. It wasn't what they wanted. It wasn't truly what they wanted. And once they had seen the effects of their actions and everything else surrounding that, they realized that they had a bad time as well.
Well, he certainly had a bad time when he was caught.
Oh, of course, but
Dab.
it wasn't just
Anyway.
that. It
Yeah.
wasn't just that. There was another kid who I
Oh, yes.
consider to be specifically psychopathic and potentially broken.
Yeah.
But for the person that put me on the ground, he understood exactly what was happening. And
Which is
he
fascinating. Because
Yeah, it is fascinating.
what happened there, right? What happened there? I have to bring light to this. Also, for our hipster friend, Pims Mark, for being here before the 100 subscribers. So, thank you. But hipster, I was here before it was cool. But you can get these podcasts on a cassette tape, by the way. Just follow the link in the description below. I'm lying. Moving on. So,
Please subscribe. Oh,
yeah.
God, please subscribe.
please subscribe.
Anyway.
So I think it's fascinating mentioning that, right? Because there was a little string quartet that was happening, wasn't there? Wasn't there like three people?
Yes.
Kind of, because they were playing Foursquare together.
Yes.
I can't remember if it was 3 or 4 people. You know it because it was your thing.
There were
went through.
two main people.
Two
that
main
were
people. There was
involved
one.
in
One was the potential psychopath.
assault.
Yeah. One was the potential psychopath, and the other was the deed doer. And the deed doer is something that I
The deed doer, in my case, was the good one.
Exactly. And that's the thing I find really fascinating, is you have the psychopath or narcissist, which has control over the other person, right? They have influence over the other person. They push the other person. They lead the other person onto a path which they wish for them to follow. And it makes you wonder what happened to their friendship, what happened to the potential psychopath, and what happened to the deed doer. Where are they now? If they wish to join in on a live stream, maybe we should have that. You can sit there having a fit while we have a wonderful conversation about how terrible shit is. Also, hello. But yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
No, I don't think they will join, and
Or hell
I'm
no,
very glad.
not with me, not with me. Oh, ew, a
I'm very glad
furry.
that Galambino understands what's being said.
Yes.
Um, I'm very glad about that
Yeah.
because, yeah, from my perspective, um, you know, I was put in hospital by two people,
Oh yeah, that was an interesting time.
and so I would say that I had a decision at that time as to how I viewed the whole situation, and I was in strict bed rest for a week,
Hmm.
so I had plenty of time to analyze the situation and to
To process it.
meditate. Yes, and to
Yeah.
process.
Yeah. Because you could have developed post traumatic stress from that, right? That was the reality of the
I
situation.
could have.
It was that bad, it was that dire that there would be no shortage of people who would actually be able to develop post traumatic stress from that situation.
Yeah. And that
So it
was
was pretty
definitely an
fucked up.
option. And like it was definitely an option for me
Hmm.
is to just not process and to fight it and to move against it
Yeah.
all and to see it as the injustice that it was
Yeah.
and to just push and say no, this is not okay, and be very upset with it.
Yeah.
But my processing of it was, and still is that the main person involved who put me in hospital and who made me not that I remember it, but
Yes.
excrete blood
Blood and vomit.
from one's mouth. The main person involved in that activity, I harbored no hate for, and the reason I harbored no hate for him is because I believed then, as I do now, and stronger now than I did then. Now that I know people better, is that
Yeah.
he didn't understand what he was doing. And I think intention is the main thing that matters. And his intention was not for me to be in hospital. His intention was not for any of that to happen. His intention was to be seen as someone who can stand up for himself in front of other people. And that's about it.
Yeah, sort of like be a martyr for your little compadre, little friendship circle, and you've got all these people around you as well. So your adrenal glands are just going over the top, and so
Yes.
you've got this massive euphoric rush because you know that their attention is drawn by your presence, and it is in that moment that you know it's also the presence that
evening.
you have is aggressive anyway.
Yes.
So yeah, it is fascinating.
And
I'm
I
curious
think that
to know
I think
where
that
they are
carries
now.
over to everything else.
Yeah,
Everything else anyone else has ever done badly to me,
yeah,
even um, potentially the content
yeah,
of an entire live stream
yeah,
to flesh out but my ex.
Ha ha ha.
Potentially.
Ooh. Is that if you don't name names, is it legal or illegal considering there was a court
Perfectly
matter?
fine as long as I don't name names.
Ah.
Yeah.
And it's not defamation if it's true.
Correct.
Huzzah!
Correct. Yeah.
Fox looks so happy
there's a
when
bit
I
of
say
legal
that.
proceedings around that as well.
Yeah.
And
Again,
even
1,000 subs will get us. Will get a clinical
a
psychologist
psychologist.
on the stream, and then 10,000 subscribers will get a lawyer.
Oh my god, yes. If you can get 10,000 subscribers, we
Yeah.
will get a fucking lawyer in on these streams.
Yeah, mate.
Oh my goodness.
Please help us.
Yes.
Please, just get all your friends to
Please.
subscribe. Like legit, I'm not making this up. If you guys do that, we'll pay the money between Daniel and myself,
yes.
and we'll make this
No,
happen.
we will.
Yeah,
Yeah, absolutely.
Legit.
100%.
legit.
Yeah.
Far out.
So
Please.
even with my ex, who did some very interesting things, to say the least,
Yeah.
that put me to the point of psychosis.
Oh yeah.
I don't
broke you.
think she did. She really did break me. But even when she did break me, I don't think she had malicious intent at heart. And even if she did, even if she did have the most malicious intent at heart, I think that she thought that what she was doing was going to be good for her. And so everything that she did along the way and thereafter, as bad as it made my as bad as it made my experiences after the fact, I still think that she thinks that it was good for her and that it would help her in some way. She might be wrong. She might be misinformed. But she thinks that it helped her. She did what she wanted at the time. And she wanted to feel good, and she wanted to be in a better place. And she thought that was the best way to be there. She may be wrong. But that's an educational thing. That's why I say the word correct. That's why I say she may be incorrect. Because she may have done things that are actually bad for her. And other people, like bullies, when they hurt you, may do things that hurt you and they think make them better, but are actually bad for them. They are just misinformed. They are incorrect in what they think is good for them. So they do what they think they want, but they're incorrect. And that is my whole spiel in that regard. Oh God, the comments.
Yes.
I swear they are busy so that not happen. Damn impressed if you did.
What was that in
Not
reference
sure.
to? What was that in reference to? Was that in reference? I know when he said, "Voxy, you're so silly," that's in regards to me because I'm an idiot. But I think that was in reference to when I was talking about getting a lawyer and a psychologist in on the stream. I'd like it to be known we are so not joking. If we get 1,000 subscribers, we are absolutely doing a live stream with a clinical psychologist. And so it will be
Absolutely.
it will be the three of us. We're not joking about it. There won't be enough room in the stream for the title because there's going to be three of us. It's going to be really cool, and it's like, please help us get to 1,000 subscribers because like we actually
We will
really
do
want
it.
to do that. We really want to do that.
The lawyer and psychologist. Yep,
yeah.
10,000 subscribers. Gonna
Yeah.
happen. 100%.
Hey. You were talking about fixing our intros, right? I say our intros, like for both, I think, my videos and then also our live videos too. Maybe I need to pretense every video that I do that's like not about my PTSD journey, but like about other related things. Or unless, maybe we leave it to the lives. I don't know. Doesn't matter. But we need to start pretensing that.
Galambino.
What?
Sorry. I just saw what Galambino said at one point.
Yes.
So he sort of has this agreement with me, like, I never hated people who bullied me. I know these people didn't understand what they're doing, which is great. I love that. They actually don't get how bad what they're doing is. They don't have full comprehension. It's literally not there. I don't care how smart they are. It's not there. But if you talk to someone, okay, you talk about people who understand what he is doing, then he'd do that because he is forced, because he's controlled. Ooh. Controlled people are weird. And that's coming from someone who was very controlled at one point.
Do you think your ex was controlled by your ex's mother?
Oh yeah, 100%.
Ah.
I thought I think I was 100% controlled by my ex.
Yes.
Yeah. No,
So that's like three layers of control.
Oh, so many layers. Control is a weird thing.
As someone who takes immense pride in layers, I identify as a lasagna, fox lasagna. Dab. Moving on. Fox lasagna.
Fox lasagna.
Fox lasagna. I have
So-
to hashtag that on all my clips now. Moving on. Carry on. Sorry.
Control is a really weird thing
Yeah.
because at any point you can decide to not be controlled. And I don't mean that in a trivial way because it's difficult. It's not like you can just look at someone who is in a controlled situation and say, well, you shouldn't have done that because you were just being controlled, obviously. Well, after the fact, when they come out of it, they're going to agree with you.
Oh.
But while they're in it, they're going to tell you what made sense to them at the time.
Am I interrupting your train of thought?
No.
I just piffed. I just had an epiphany. I just piffed. I had this thing that I would think and I realized that it was so in line with our disagreement before that then turned into an agreement when it was reworded about the moral compass being skewed and not about them trying to do the right thing, because it's
No, they
like
are trying to do the right thing, but they
by
just don't
their
know what the
skewed
fuck
moral
the right
compass.
thing is.
Yes, they're trying to do the right thing by a skewed moral compass. So they're not trying to do the right thing by a good moral compass, because that's not their moral compass. We're talking about their reality,
From their perspective, they're trying to do the right thing.
and
Yes, and
with that, it is so totally in line with one thing that I always say in regards to other people's behaviors, and it occurred to me just now that there was already this alignment, but because of the bad wording, that's been fixed now, which I'm very grateful for. It made sense now, and that is that it never is that we are making decisions that we know are the wrong decisions. Even like in moments of self-sabotage, we're making the decision that we know to be the most right decision that could be made. Because we feel it. Doesn't mean that it's the right decision. But at the time, with the information that we had, with what it was that we were thinking or feeling, with that information and that data that we have in that moment, we have made the most right decision that may be the most immoral decision according to the moral compass of someone who has a just and well thought out and understanding moral compass. It may be wrong by that moral compass, but with the information that that person had and the position that that person was in at that time, they had made a decision that was the most right decision.
So for them at the time, they were making the best moral decision that they could.
Yes, absolutely.
Yes,
absolutely,
100%.
And it's just I just find it so funny that I just piffed, and when I piffed, that was what came up, and so I'll have to sort that out later. Anyway, that's a problem for Anyway, so moving on, but I just find it very fascinating that like there was such a disagreement before in my mind, just going, I really disagree with what it is that you're saying, but it was actually because you weren't saying what you were saying. The words that you chose
I was saying it very differently.
Oh,
and it's very specific. And I was very careful about the way that I worded it. And I say...
You need to be more careful. But we got there.
No.
We got there.
I'm very, very careful about the way that I phrased it. And it was that they believed they are making the best moral decision that they can make.
Yeah.
They are doing the best thing that they can do.
Yeah, I needed it to
enjoying, like it's all from their perspective, right? And it's a perspective thing. Yeah, and it's all from they did what they thought was good.
Yeah, and what I needed as the specifics was by their moral compass, and it was
their moral compass,
and it was that addition at the end, because it comes down to that. Is there a concession? Is there a condition? And the condition is that we are talking about their own personal moral compass. And it is a trigger for me, because, and that's a really good thing that we should actually discuss right now, is the fact that I have major insecurities. And one major insecurity, which stems from all of my post-traumatic stress, is moral compass being skewed. And my moral compass being questioned.
Understandable.
And my moral compass being debated, being thwarted, being trampled on, being kicked, being referred to as sick, as wrong. But when instead you find out that it is your moral compass, which turns out to be more just than most people's moral compasses.
Yeah.
Which blows your mind, because when you've been the subject of gaslighting for as long as
we have,
you know, that messes you up, man. So
it does.
Yeah,
it really does. And the thing that the really cool thing is to be able to go, okay, my moral compass actually has movement. It's not a finely tuned needle that always points north.
Yeah, yeah. And
Right.
it's scary because it had movement
It's
due to
scary.
gaslighting. It had
Fuck
movement
yeah.
due to gaslighting, and it's like that was movement from bad influences, man. Like
Yeah.
these were bad
Or even if they're good influences, they can shift you even more. And like, even when you get shifted by good moral teachings that open your mind up to things that weren't there previous.
Yeah.
It's liberating,
Yeah.
and it's also destructive,
Yes.
because now your moral compass doesn't point in the same direction it did before.
Yeah.
And it's so much of an oof.
I love that these live videos are much more informative than any of the shitty videos that I've made just covering moral compass on its own. Like, this is just so much more in depth. I think I need to start ditching all of the videos that I've done and actually just make them all lives where we just pick apart everything and then throw bottles of wine at the walls in anger and frustration and angst. And everything. Yeah, that one. Yes. I love it. We'll do that, I think. That's
I
right,
would
mate.
love to do Spotify and other platforms. Unfortunately, they all cost money.
Oh, really? Does it cost money to be on the Spotify's?
Yeah, it costs money to be on all of them. And so it's sort of the same situation where we're like, yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
When we have enough subscribers,
When we're at 1,000 subscribers,
viewers,
get your friends to subscribe. What's that? They don't
We
like
require
furry
it.
people.
It's a
Get them to
requirement.
subscribe. We don't like them either. Join. It's a fair point.
What? Let me just double check that I'm reading this correctly.
Okay.
By controlling, I mean people try to manipulate you, force you, or make it that you do things that the way they want,
Yes.
and make you think you do good, but you do bad because you do it for them. That's literally, and I like, there's no figurativeness in this. That is what I experienced. Mr. Galambino. Not
Mr. Galambino. The.
Not Mr. The Galambino.
The Galambino.
The Galambino.
Thank you. Don't worry, Galambino. I got you back.
The Galambino, that is exactly what I experienced. And it was horrible looking back. It was horrible looking back because you go, okay, I did these things. And I'm now capable of these things if I'm coerced into it.
Yeah.
It does give you a very interesting perspective, especially when you look back through history and you go, okay, well, like when you first read about horrible wars, let's say. Horrible wars like World War II or World War I, even, like, you sit there and you're sort of like, well, how could people do this? But after you go through something like that, you sort of go, oh, that's how people could do this. It's like, okay. It makes sense now.
We are Oh, sorry, I was just about to say we are all susceptible to manipulation. If we have the ability to communicate, whether that's to receive communication or to give out communication, I think you need to be able to receive communication to be manipulated, actually. I'll just make that known.
Yeah.
If you can receive communication either visually, audibly, then that makes you, and if you have a brain, with like more than 3 cells, I guess.
Yeah.
There's probably a number on that, actually. I'll get you to search that up later. But
Yeah,
minimum number of
smarter
brain
you
cells in
are,
order to function.
it's
But
harder, it's easier, right?
Yeah.
Like, because
yeah,
the more you're willing to learn more, but the more open you are to new ideas,
yes,
right? So that's sort of a prerequisite to being, let's say, mentally flexible.
yeah.
Um,
There's like a
the
degree
more,
of malleability.
yeah,
Malleability? Malleability.
yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
whatever.
You can bend your mind. So the more flexible and bendy you are with your mind, the more able you are to be manipulated. But you sort of need that to be able to get like really complex ideas as well. You need it to be able to understand things like complex physics, for example,
Yeah, yeah.
or something strange like that. Like you need to be able to bend your mind. Like you need
Yeah.
to be able to do that.
Yeah, and you need to have a mind that exists so that you have something to bend, which is
Yeah.
what Foxo just reiterated my thing, which was, of course, brains are needed. Otherwise, are we still Neanderthals?
Oh, the Neanderthals were pretty smart too.
Netheridals? Is it
Just
Netheridals?
as
Nah,
as a
Neanderthals. Neanderthals.
as a side fucking track,
Yep.
in Neanderthals were actually
Yes.
smart enough to make artwork on caves, and they did.
Yes.
And they actually did a lot of other things that were really cool. So our our cousins that are actually breedable with us, strangely enough,
Yeah.
um, were quite intelligent and able to think artistically in a way that we also are. And a lot of people actually share a lot of genes with the Neanderthal thing, which is, yeah, it's like whatever.
I haven't worn
But
jeans in ages.
bit of a tangent there. Whatever, doesn't matter.
I don't think I fit
People,
in them anymore.
oh dear. People understanding was different in those years. If you talk about World War One and Two, such time people does not know what moral compass was or anything important. No, but that is sort of the point that I'm making. If I understand what you're saying correctly, Mr. No, sorry.
Ah!
The
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 Galambino.
Galambino.
The Galambino.
The Galambino. If I understand
Galambino.
correctly what you're trying to say, it's sort of the point that I'm making, is that no one has a perfect moral compass.
I do.
No, shut your face. Shut up your face.
I have a more just moral compass than others.
Yeah.
Conceited of me to say so. But
Maybe.
I've had the tick of approval from someone who has an even better moral compass than me, so.
Yeah, that's the thing, right? And that's how we do it.
Yeah. But
We
are
figure
they
out-
right or are they wrong? Am I just being led by a
Yeah.
psychopath? But I would also like to think that considering everything he has said and done has been in my best interest and has been helpful for everyone and been beneficial for as many parties as possible within reason, because it comes down to...
That's why these
yeah.
discussions are so important, right?
Yeah.
Is because the only way we can know if our moral compass is guided correctly is if we talk to as many people as we can.
Yes, absolutely that. Absolutely that. And that's why I really like us doing these live streams.
And honest about all of their points, and they don't shy away. They don't say, "Oh no, that is a too much of a difficult topic. Awfully sorry."
Yeah.
You know, like, and that's why I love these live streams, is because we can talk about some really difficult topics.
Oh yeah.
I'm pretty sure there's some difficult topics that I can think of that, in general, no one would want to talk about.
Oh hell yeah, we'll get banned from YouTube in like 2 seconds. But before we get banned from YouTube, remember we need to hit 1,000 subscribers. I'm going to keep reminding you all. We need 1,000 subscribers. Please help us. 1,000 subs, and we get a clinical psychologist on the stream. I'm going to keep pitching that like it's fucking like we're advertising a toaster that we get like 30 cents if someone buys one from our Amazon link. How can we set it up? Amazon affiliate links. Can we do that on our own? You know these things.
With your amount of viewership, not quite yet.
You mean as in they won't talk to me, or you mean that it won't have a positive effect? Can we do it for free?
No, they need you to be big.
Fuck.
Yeah, that one. All right, Gallon. I'm really loving Foxo Gaming.
Foxo's
right
good.
Here.
Foxo was with me for the whole 6-hour live stream.
Oh, was he really?
Yeah. Yeah.
Even I couldn't do the 6-hour live stream. Yeah. Wow. Yeah. I lasted about 10 minutes.
No, I can't remember. I can't remember how long it was. I'm going to say it was the full 6 hours. Foxo can remind me how long Foxo was in that live stream for. It was pretty good though. We had a good time. I'm an idiot.
People understanding was different in those years. If you talk about World War I and II, I mean, yeah, World War I, they thought this was the war to end all wars. World War II, they were like, this is crazy. I didn't expect this to happen. That sounds like an abusive relationship to me. Just saying.
Yes.
Such time people does not know moral compass, anything was important. This is the whole point I'm making about the whole thing. Like, people who are in a toxic relationship, that is exactly what they go through. What you're describing there specifically is exactly what they go through. And it's really hard for someone who hasn't gone through it to properly understand it. Fortunately, I've managed to explain it to my brother, and the only way I've managed to do that is say, actually harken it back to things like World War I and say, you know how World War I was the war to end all wars, and you did that. And then there was another one. And you were like, okay, well, that was good, and that's going to end everything else. And then there was a good period. Again.
And then Ukraine happened.
And then Ukraine, it just keeps going and going and going.
And it's not just Ukraine either, because like in all that time, there was also like Estonia, for example, right? There were so many places that this all happened.
And no one forced the Allied people, like when I say the Allied people, no one forced people like Britain, America, Australia, whoever, the Allied forces, to fight back. No one forced them to do that. But they fought back.
Yeah.
because something that it took me a long time to understand. I always had a very bad opinion of war in general, and I still do. But I can appreciate the defensive nature now better than before.
Yeah.
And I can say, hey, well, maybe the Allied forces were good in their attempts to protect what ought to be protected. It's very hard to say what ought to be protected, but
Yeah, it's personal preference.
that's personal preference, absolutely.
Personal preference.
Personal preference.
Personal preference.
I think that
You have to do
one
lip
thing
wristing.
we can all agree is personal preference
Yeah.
is that we get to have a choice if we live. And both of those wars, specifically World War One and Two, would see a lot of people not be living if it
That's one way to put it.
if it failed.
Yeah.
A lot of people would not be living if they failed in a way where the other side took hold. So I think that was something worth protecting, because people who had a right to live get to live. And to me, that's very oddly similar to a toxic as hell relationship. I don't know. It's sort of like World War One. Okay, this is going to end everything. We're just going to kill off these things. Well, that's not okay. And you come around and say that's not okay, and you're met with deadly force. It's very horrible. It's so scary. Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Very interesting. Totally unrelated. Galambino, where in the world are you from, by the way? I'm just curious because I think there would also be it'd be interesting to understand like we have people from all around the world, and in this wonderful planet, on this wonderful planet, we are surrounded by culture and that social norms that are part of, if we grow up in a certain part of Australia, you could be surrounded by people who push out these social norms that then, you witness that growing up and they have an influence over how your own persona, how your own moral compass, how your own philosophies are shaped. I'm just curious to know where you're from, and likewise as well for everyone who is here. Just curious to know exactly who's from where.
Yeah. I'd really like to know where Galambino's from.
Yeah. Yeah.
I've had some runs at times where I'm like, oh damn, I've got so much of a worldview, I think it is, that I actually forget that people are from different places.
Yes.
Like we're all from Earth, right?
Yeah, dude.
Yeah.
Because like, imagine if we had someone watching from North Korea, and like they were like chipping in little bits of like, what they in their mind is wisdom, and it may or may not align with our sense of good wisdom. Because they,
Yeah.
not to say that all people from North Korea are in that boat, but I mean, there's no denying
Some of
that
them are
when you
amazing.
see people who have
Yeah.
escaped North Korea and then you hear their stories, you go, holy shit, they have been turned into this like weird form of alien because they're not connected to the world. They don't understand
Or
anything about the outside world of anything that's not North
they've
Korea.
gone in the other direction as well. Like I've seen a few videos from people from North Korea, and they've had the most beautiful stories. And when I say beautiful, I mean absolutely god awful.
Oh,
Where they get to come out as in a place of prosperity, even though their parents were sold
yeah.
off, and it was such a dark place for them, and it was such a hard time for them, and it's like they came out and they were still able to share their story. And oh man, some of the stories that I've heard from North Korea are absolutely heart-wrenchingly just interesting and beautiful and just horrible.
Beautiful and horrible. I'd like to
Beautiful
call
and
attention
horrible.
to that, the coexistence of how beautifully horrible something can be,
Yeah.
because it
that
can
one.
be actually beautifully horrible. Like if you can imagine something so horrible that there's almost this beauty in how horribly how beautifully constructed that horrible thing is. It's like you can get like different varieties, different flavors of bad. It's like you get this mishmash of all things bad, or you get this terribly vibrant a disarray of bad things happening that just then you get the person's response to all of those things happening. And I think that's the beauty in it is the fact that there was an interaction with that horribleness.
Yeah, the beauty is that they came out so absolutely amazing.
Yeah, they came out not fucked somehow.
Yeah, somehow.
Somehow.
Yeah. And it's like,
Yeah.
wow,
Yeah.
some good came out of all of that absolute trauma.
Yeah.
Of that, all of that absolute trauma that you went through, and you were able to come out such a beautiful person. And it's like, yeah, well, that is beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't reckon I'd be able to survive being there. Definitely not. Definitely not.
Not for me. No,
Yeah.
absolutely not. I could not survive it. I definitely would have been one of the people who were killed.
Yeah.
I'm way too
Oh,
open
yeah.
with my
Oh, yeah.
opinions.
Oh yeah.
I'm 100%.
Yeah. Assuming that there would have been no shift in your personal
Assuming that,
attitude.
yeah.
Yeah. Because, it may be something where when in the moment of trauma, you see your mind do all kinds of like overprotective reactions to things. So I'm trying to still work out, by the way, where Galambino is from, because Galambino has not disclosed roughly where they're from.
Let's look at what Galambino has said. Galambino
Yes.
has indeed said,
The Galambino.
the Galambino,
Galambino.
what has said, I would not force people to do bad things or anything for me.
Yes.
Also, of course, people try and manipulate you, but have some brains, think for yourself. I like it.
Yes.
Have some brains, think for yourself. Yes, always. Always try to think for yourself if you can. If things go against what you think is morally correct, seek outside opinion. For God's sake.
Yes.
Always. Always seek as many opinions as you can. You need more information. There's always more information you can get. Anyway. But that does not stop us from trying to be better as well. We all learn from our mistakes. I'm a testament to that as well. And after a bad thing, we can sometimes rethink what we do actually was good, and we can fix what we do wrong. Sometimes we can't fix what we do wrong. That's also okay.
Yes.
Learning from horrible things we do can be enough. But you really have to learn.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yes.
But I, for the most part, 100% agree with you, Mr. Gallant. Oh, sorry. The Gallambino.
I keep pointing at you every time you do that.
I keep saying, Mr. Gallambino. Why do I do this?
Because you do this. No, because I do this to you. I say, Mr. Daniel.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. So I've actually psychologically conditioned you. I'm sorry.
Yeah, well,
yeah. You had no choice. You had no choice in mirroring that because of how, like, that is our thing. Yeah. You know.
The Gallambino.
Yeah, because we call each other up, and I go, Mr. Daniel, every time.
I go, Mr. Michael, what do you want? Anyway.
Yeah.
Sir Gallambino. I would say that I agree with you all the way here. Like, you do what you can to fix what you can fix.
Yeah.
You be as good of a person as you can. Yes, I'm loving this. English is not the best. I know it's hard to understand. No, I think that was pretty good to understand, and I've agreed with that so far.
Yeah.
World War started just because dial-up noises.
Still trying to do our best.
Not sure if I agree with that one. That World War One was a really difficult one. Even historians struggle with World War One. I've actually tried really hard to grapple with World War One, and it was, let's say, one of the most difficult history lessons that I've had to learn, which is that no one knows what was going on there. Even historians look back and say, no one knows, but we all have our opinions. And that's about how World War One was. Because there was just so much crap going on at the time. So it's such a difficult thing, because I want real good information, but I can't get it when it comes to World War One. Just can't happen.
Yeah, right.
There's no one thing. There's no easy definition. There's no great good reason. All I can say is, for absolute certainty, is that everybody thought that this would be the war to end all wars. That's true. Yes. Absolutely. Everything else, so tricky and so fine detail and so many points from different points of view. And no country can be correct.
I wonder if it came from like misunderstanding from all parties, and there was a constant attempt to adapt that misunderstanding to an understanding, while the other party was adapting their misunderstanding to an understanding, and so it's this endless tail chasing
I
of
wouldn't be
understanding.
surprised. I would
Because it
not be
could, yeah,
surprised.
could be that. Like I just think in like a general sense of like disagreements and arguments and trying to understand people, I suppose that could happen. That, you know,
Mm.
in a case of an actual quite aggressive argument, that there is, you know, this endless, you know, around in circles sort of thing going on. I would think, but I don't know.
It was
I
it
suggest it
was
because I'm an
very
idiot and I suggest dumb
very
things.
complicated. Even if
Yeah.
you learn about it, like even if you do
Yeah.
the studies on it, I don't
Yeah.
think your mind will change too much from where it is right now. Yeah, that's how that's sort of how it is. It's very, 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 very complicated.
Oh, well, that's nice then.
Oh yes. My country is poor, but even though we poor, we still support Ukraine. For the Ukraine situation, I agree 100%. Hell yes, support Ukraine. My personal opinion.
We've just been banned in Russia.
Oh dear. Oh well.
Yes.
Screw Russia. I agree there is something we can't change or fix, but we still try to do our best. That is me. I try my best to help and fix everyone around me. It can be a curse as well as a blessing. Oh, I'm gonna read this one in my head first.
Oh. That means you have permission to dab. Oh, we did it at the same time. We did it at the same time. We did it at the same time. It was really good. Do you see it? Oh, you didn't see it. You'll see it in 30 seconds.
That's it. Oh, good.
God, my hair is really scratchy.
Oh, all I can do is say, read more with an open mind. It's really tricky. It was such a really messy. Everything was so messy. It was horrible. I hate all war. I love history. I love listening to history. I love learning about history, but I cannot deal with war very well. And when it comes to those particular events, especially for World War One, World War Two was a little bit more definite, but World War One was a little trickier. And all I can say is, God damn. Even the scholars are sitting there scratching their heads. And so that's really all I can say.
Yep.
When, like, all I can say is what the scholars told. Like, all I can give is what I was given.
Yeah. If the professionals are scratching their heads going, what the fuck? Maybe that's an indication that no one really knows.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah. Yeah. That's
Just
that.
a thought.
Just a thinking.
It's just a thought.
At the same time, you say aggression stops war. I don't say aggression stops war. I said that I'm gonna like be really clear about this one.
Oh yeah, you did not say aggression stops war.
I'm gonna be really clear about this one.
Enjoy.
I had a housemate of mine who
Oh, yes.
was showing through my life experience, I understood very quickly and very clearly. And this is through my life experience. I do not recommend that anyone else does this when they think they know what's happening, because you have to be very tactful. I knew exactly that they were trying to start a fight so that they could be entertained. And that was all it was for. And I have lived through that so many times in my life that I know exactly what to look for, exactly what to notice. Unfortunately, I can't just rattle it off and list it off. It is something that like triggers something in me, and then I know. But that's all I can do. I can't actually intellectually break it down yet because I haven't processed it properly. But I process it enough to know when I see it. So I was able to show aggression, yes. But that aggression that I showed was actually a kindness.
True aggression would
Because-
have been giving him the punch that he wanted. But
No.
your aggression was more from a, I will have an aggressive tone of voice, and that aggressive tone of voice will raise awareness to this moment for
It was
the
giving him what
fellow
he wanted.
constituents.
It
And
was
that.
validation for him.
Yeah.
It was validation for them. It was a kind of, yes, you are scary. Yes, you are doing something that's going to push my buttons. Yes,
Yeah.
you are doing all of these things. Congratulations.
Yeah.
So that's very specifically
Yeah.
that. And the main point of doing that is so that it doesn't escalate further. Because if you unfortunately happen to be in the midst of that and you don't give them at least that, what you're going to end up doing if you have the unfortunate encounter with someone who wants that type of aggression and you don't give them at least that much, you're going to unintentionally entice them to ask for more.
Yeah.
And the less you do, the higher the escalation goes. So
Yes.
you have to bring in a little bit of something in order to bring it down. And
You
flatten
may
it.
have to do. May have
You
to do.
may like
Yes.
it is fucking, it is sensitive and scary, and I've had a lot of experience, and it is very at that point, like it is very tricky.
Yep. Sorry to step in like lawyer Fox.
Yeah, no, that is a good point. It's a really good point. Like,
because I was wanting to digress a little bit earlier, but I need, like it's important what you're saying, but
it's a good point.
Yeah. Like everything that we're discussing, everything that I've said in all of my videos, everything that Daniel has said in these live streams, these are, when we discuss things, we're discussing our personal opinions, we're discussing our personal beliefs, we're discussing our personal experiences, and we're not giving any professional advice. Okay, none of this is professional advice. The advice we're giving is all general in nature, does not take into account any of your personal needs, any of your personal objectives. I sound like a bloody banker, but this is very important to disclaim this. It really is. That we aren't professionals in any field of mental health, but we are here to philosophize. We're here to to ask dumb questions, to answer dumb questions, to just be idiots, and we do that really well. But we need to have some appreciation for the fact that we're both idiots. So please don't accept what we're saying as being gospel, as what we're saying as being fact. But if it rings truth and seems helpful and is able to help you to lead a better life, and is, helping you to sustain living and to have a meaningful life, well, then we're doing really well, and we'll go to bed at night thinking, like quite well of ourselves, and be quite content. But what we're doing is we are not giving professional psychological advice. We are not giving advice on anything besides explaining our experiences. And so if there is anything that seems like advice, it is general in nature, because we are just talking about techniques, tips, tricks, whatever it is that we have learned, that we have used, that we thought of, that we implemented at a certain time, that we continue to implement, that we continue to work on. This is all personal stuff. So,
and Galambino, I don't think you took it too far either with your comments.
None of you people can
notes.
take anything too far with us two.
I don't
all right?
think like that. Like,
Yeah.
It's just that I just want to make sure that like it's properly understood that, look,
Yeah.
when I sit here and I say that, in my instance, when I say that I had an experience where my varying levels of aggression prevented certain other levels of aggression, it was my experience and not advice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was a recounting of events.
Yeah, that one.
Yeah. Lawyer Fox.
War only promotes aggression. War never ends aggression. Yes. I hate war. One of the biggest Galambino. I have read extensively on history, and I always struggle when it comes to war, because I think it is so inexplicably stupid. Inexplicably stupid? Yes. Dumb.
Inconceivably stupid.
Inconceivable. Why
Yes.
are you doing this? This is dumb. And even when I read through it and I listen to it and I understand where it came from, I have immense struggles when it comes to why many millions of people needed to die. And I have very, very strong emotions that come with that. And so, yeah, I can agree wholeheartedly with the idea that aggression only begets more aggression.
Yes.
I can only agree wholeheartedly with that. There are very fine points in my life where I can say, look, one particular individual is looking for something, and I can give half of it to him so that he doesn't go the full haul. And in that way, I can avoid further conflict. And that's what I mean when I talk about that particular event.
And also, yes, exactly that point.
Oh dear.
That,
Oh god.
that,
No, I don't want to be up until like 3 o'clock in the morning, so I won't go into that particular discussion.
yes. Yes. I also, I will add though, that clearly we need to, because if you'll notice, there are 5 viewers now, whereas when we started, there was like 2. So clearly, we are meant to go into 3 in the morning. I'm sorry to say. So good luck you going to work tomorrow.
No, I'm gonna have to give a hard no to that one.
Oh,
But I am more than happy that tomorrow morning, after I'm exhausted, for everybody to come back at 9 a.m. Australian Standard Time.
yes.
And listen again
Yes.
if they would like to hear my thoughts about Russia and Ukraine.
Ah.
Oh my goodness.
Wow. Hey. Could you imagine us doing a live stream with you on the train on your way to work?
Oh, I'm keen. Like,
That'd be
all
so
right,
funny. All of your data would be gone.
gone.
Yeah, it'd be deleted. Data deleted.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm keen to do it. I'm happy to talk about it. It's just that I'm about to need to go to bed. It's nearly 12 o'clock for me.
Yeah.
I have to get up at 5 o'clock in the morning. I have designated about 4 to 5 hours of sleep for my life right now.
Yeah.
And
There was originally more designated, but this live stream went on for longer than anticipated. So that's actually that's my doing and my apologies.
how dare you all have so much feedback that I'm excited about it.
Yeah, it's pretty good. But we do need to
Yeah.
do these live streams later, so you're gonna have to tell your workplace to buy you a house next door to work
Yeah.
to make this a little bit easier. Because there's like 5 viewers, and when we started there was 2, just 2. So it's like, you know, that now if I dab like that, 5 people saw it, whereas before only 2. Except for anyone rewatching, of course. Like after the live.
Well, I'm sure we just lost 1 or 2.
What? Because of me dabbing just then?
Yeah.
Fuck.
Yeah. Also, I hope you enjoyed my very white face.
Oh.
Because I've had to change my screen over here.
Yeah, I know. I saw
Anyway,
looks good.
thank you very much for listening. Please make sure to like and subscribe to the channel of Voxy and this live stream. Make sure to share it with your friends because
talking about-
everybody wants to listen to my voice, obviously. I sound
Absolutely.
amazing. I sound amazing.
Yes.
And Voxy sounds okay.
Yes. What?
Yeah, so make sure to share it with everybody else, and if you do, we'll be back.
Yes. Yes. And remember, if we hit 1,000 subscribers, we will have a live stream with a clinical psychologist. So there will
We
be
will.
Daniel,
We will
myself,
absolutely.
and a clinical
1,000
psychologist. We're
subscribers,
so
it's
gonna
gonna
do
happen.
it. We are so gonna do it. So if you have friends who are not subscribed, who, especially if they hate furries, please get them to subscribe. All right,
Please.
we want because
Please.
they're fun to talk
want
to.
them.
And
They
that would
so
be that would be wonderful. I come for Voxy and I got 2 handsome men. I like that. That's very tickling me little heart feels. You know what I mean? It's quite nice. I like it. But yes. Please, if you are watching and you are not subscribed, please subscribe. And if you have friends who are not subscribed, like, please, it's going to be friggin' awesome. And I love the suggestion, so we're going to do it. We're going to do it.
Yeah.
But
as soon as we get to 1,000,
as soon as we get to 1,000, the moment that we get to 1,000, we're doing it straight away. All right. So thank you all again for watching, and we will catch you all on the next live stream. And until then, have a wonderful rest of your day for a lot of you. And we will have a wonderful night for us too, as it is currently 12 a.m. on the dot. It is now midnight. So, good night, everyone.